as he walks through the shadow of the valley of death, this lone shinobi finds a companion, a fellow art wielder of ninjutsu. The world now is better than ever before, never before, since Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow have two ninjas come together. But wait, there's a third ninja, which makes three ninjas, and that ninja is obviously Tum Tum on the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic. The podcast where the Preamble Ramble is slowly consuming the main topic. What the fuck was that?
That was very interesting.
Do we
I
need to
was
do a
it
second
was it
take?
was almost like I thought it was the beginning of the RPG session.
Yeah,
but then I was
kinda
like,
me
oh,
too.
okay. But then no, it's the meeting of Malev's Shinobi meet the Ninjan.
Yeah, was there some G.I. Joe in there maybe?
There was Storm
Yeah.
Shadow, Snake Eyes. You had to
Yeah.
bring out all the dual ninja references
I love
that we got in pop culture.
Yeah,
that
you
was
know.
it
There's always
good.
two.
Yeah, it was always two until
Ninjas also follow the rule of two.
until three ninjas.
Yes, exactly.
Have you seen Three Ninjas?
No.
You haven't seen Three Ninjas? Well,
I told you my martial arts movie thing.
that's right.
is weak.
It's funny because I don't really consider Three Ninjas a martial art movie, but
No.
that is very fair. But I think the second one, Three Ninjas Like Kick Back, the one where
Yeah.
they went to Japan.
Yeah.
That's
Wait, did you just actually me about martial arts movies?
That's a flick. No,
Like,
mostly
actually,
that
it's
it's
not a martial
mostly a
arts movie.
kids movie is what I mean. It's really more of a kids
I feel
movie.
like a lot of Jackie Chan movies could be considered kids movies.
No, I would say they're appropriate for kids,
Okay.
but like
This is kids. The ninjas are kids.
Yeah, like the ninjas. It's a kids. You hear
okay.
boinks, donks,
Oh,
beeps,
okay,
You know,
it's a
you got,
Nickelodeon movie.
yeah.
Is there slime in it?
There's no slime, but there might actually be some.
There probably is.
Yeah.
Ninja slime.
Yeah, because
Some
they do
slime.
a lot of because they're kids, and then they're somehow finding it's grown ass
Yeah,
men.
adults.
Yeah, they do a lot of kick.
Okay, a lot of goons getting like outsmarted by 12-year-olds.
Yes.
Yeah, they do a lot of kicks to the nuts.
Yes.
That's their go-to move.
And then you get the face pan where a guy goes, ooh,
And you
you know,
go,
for a
"Doink."
second. Yeah.
I want to see one of the goons kick one of the kids in the nuts. you
Oh,
know?
bro. See, if Three Ninjas came back in 2025, it'd be a different movie. Yeah. Them kids would just be getting beat up.
That would be pretty good. Yeah, Tum Tum
Put
is
that on
the
TikTok.
littlest brother.
Mhm.
He's got a little pot belly, and
He loves eating, right?
He loves eating.
That's all he wants to do.
All he wants to do is like eat candy, and he's got a
Token fat
He's
kid.
got an orange jumpsuit.
He's not like the token fat kid, but he's just the bottomless pit of food.
Yeah,
he just wants to always be eating.
Okay.
That's what he's doing in the scenes, you know.
Right,
So he's
that's
got
his
something in his-
shtick. Yeah,
something in his
go-to
mouth
move
chewing
is,
on.
is just chewing on marshmallows.
Okay, I guess I'm watching that at some point.
Yo, the Three Ninjas, that's a callback. I have not seen that one. It's so long.
Yeah, it's probably
The one when they went to Japan was so cool though, because man, they had like all this like B-roll footage from Japan and these like tournaments.
Okay.
that had ninjas in
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and it was like, is this real? They have ninja tournaments over there where they just got blue ninjas and orange ninjas.
Yeah.
Damn, like how do you get to be an orange ninja? You know, like just these arbitrary colors and stuff, and it was like, it was so strange but so fascinating. They really hit you with the mystical, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, snap ninjas.
Yeah, I just assumed that's a real thing. It wasn't. They didn't shoot that for the movie.
That's
so.
kind of how when I was little, that was the question.
Right.
That's the question is like, is that real?
Yeah, because
Or
most
that-
little kids.
Should we just call this episode like the ninja, like I don't know, the ninja conversation?
Three
Mind the,
ninjas.
what is the ninja?
Yeah.
What is a ninja?
We got Ninjon and we got Malev Flow Shinobi. You know, it kind of feels
Tum Tum.
like.
And Tum Tum.
And I'm Tum Tum. Yeah, I am a bottomless pit. I mean, you see me putting away those Oreos last
Yeah,
night.
he's snacking. I didn't even realize those were double stuffed until I went for them last night. I said, "Oh,
Totally
snap.
double stuffed,
Yeah,
brother.
bro. You know, that's crazy because for a while I wasn't a double stuff. I was actually like one of the people who is like, "Yo, Oreo, can y'all just make cookie only?"
Oh no.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I know. I thought that's weird, but no, I'd be a cookie eater only
See, I
if it
feel
was
like
came with the
As
Oreos.
a high fructose soda man, I feel like you're definitely in the double stuff realm.
It's weird, right? Because it's like there's only certain fructuses that I can really get down with on the big, but like cookies and stuff, or like pastries that are like really sugary and stuff. I like the stuff that's like kind of faintly sweet, you know. When it comes
Okay.
to that sort of
Okay.
stuff.
Interesting. All right. Anyways, this is a hobby podcast.
Yes.
Sure,
About
for
yeah.
sure. Super serious hobby
Yeah.
podcast.
Tell me about Accidental Jesus.
Okay. Well, why are you reading my stuff?
I don't know. I'm trying to move this episode
He's
along.
trying to do direction.
Right. Yeah. Well, we got Malev on today. Don't worry. We'll get to something that is really relevant and really exciting and important and groundbreaking
Yeah.
shortly. However,
Shortly, I don't know. Just 40
Longly.
minutes shortly.
Longly.
so I was driving up, and as I do, I like to, whatever my mood is at the time, I will just put on music and just let it roll, let Apple Music roll, take me where it's going to take me. And so,
Creed.
yeah, no, not this morning.
Shine down.
This morning, first I had a little Biggie and Dre, and I thought it's early. It was early. It's a good way to start your day, right? And then I'm
up in the morning.
yeah. But then I was like, oh, I could feel some good 90s like light alternatives. So I was listening to some Blues Traveler, some Hootie and the Blowfish, some Sister Hazel, that kind of good stuff. And then as it kind of goes off in the randomizer to other songs, right?
Give you a little.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, hey, I haven't heard this, but it's a similar kind of feel, a similar kind of thing, but like newer versions that are in that same kind of genre. 3 or 4 songs later, I'm just like, oh, this is pretty good. And then all of a sudden I hear like, he will save me. He will save me. And I'm like, what the fuck
What did I stumble into?
what happened to me? and I was like, okay, maybe that means
he
something
will
else.
save
I
me.
should listen to the lyrics. Maybe there's something else going on here. And then I heard Praise the Lord.
Okay, yeah.
And
You're in deep.
and then I went like when the priest pulls out the crucifix for Dracula for the first time, and he sees it,
You hiss. Yeah.
I was like, oh gosh, yeah. And I was just
You almost said praise the Lord. You almost went. You were like, oh.
Yeah. You almost fell back into your Midwestern roots. You were like, oh God, it's coming out.
right, yeah. And it was early morning, so it was like it kind of felt like that was the moment that the sun was cresting. It was just hitting my windshield. Like, and I turned to ash, and I was like, God damn it.
Swerved into the
Accidental
shadow.
Jesus.
They almost got me. They
Yeah.
almost got me. That's how they get you.
Not today, Jesus.
Not today.
Not today.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's,
Maybe later.
And this morning, what I did was I woke up at 7:30 and I saw that you had like left like ultra early, and I was like, okay, I guess I better get up now. I saw the podcast.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I told Malev while you were upstairs pooping or something that the reason why was my cat didn't come to sleep in my bed last night, so I didn't sleep well, and I woke up and my cat was still
Oh,
nowhere
you
to
need
be
your
found.
cat to sleep well?
No, I don't need him to sleep well. In
just
fact,
peace of mind, right?
he's an asshole, and he takes up all my side of the bed.
So you sleep worse with him?
Yeah, I sleep worse with him, but when he's not there, I'm like worried. Where is he? Right?
Okay. It's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. So this morning I went out looking for him. I woke up and it was like 5:45. And I was like, where the hell is he? Dobby, you son of a bitch. Where are you? Is he trapped somewhere? Did he get outside or something? I found him. He was just chilling in my studio, just sleeping on my painting chair. So,
Okay.
and so then I was wide awake.
Yeah.
So
And then you were like, I guess I'm just going to leave at 6:30 a.m.
I guess I'm just going to leave. Because you never know. Because I was like, I didn't know what traffic was going to be like. So I'm like, rather, maybe.
It's always a mystery with you, you know? It's like, okay, is John going to show up at 9:30, at 8 a.m.? You know, I don't really know. you
Yeah,
know?
when I was laying down to go to sleep last night because it was like 1:30 or so, or actually it was later because I was writing some of the stuff that we had been talking about during the day, and then I was just like, I should go to sleep. And I looked and I was like, oh, snap, it's 1:30. Yeah, I should definitely go to sleep. And as I was going to sleep, I was like, he said John was gonna come over at 9. Probably gotta get up at like 7 then.
7?
Or I put my first alarm at 7, and then the
Okay.
7:30 one, and then to wake up at 8. So when you wrote me at like 8:04 to be like, John's coming down, at 8:05 my last alarm went off, and I was like, I'm up.
Nice.
Wow. I was like, oh,
Perfect.
great.
Perfect. Okay.
In my defense, I did text you before I left. I text you when I leave every time.
Yeah.
I text you when I'm on my
Fortunately,
way.
I'm
we do.
unconscious
Yeah.
often.
I just figure, well, then when you do wake up, you'll be able to do math because it's roughly 2 hours, so that's whatever the math
Yeah.
was.
Yo,
And
I
then
watched him do crazy math last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, viewers, if you know how math that Scott is.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude was doing calculations on the fly.
Wow. In his head?
I can't do like, you asked me 7 plus 13. I don't even know what that is. I came up with it. I don't even know what it is. My man was doing like crazy calculations.
A beautiful mind
I was
stuff?
like, yeah, I was standing next to him like this. He was like, is he with this and the 2 to the 4 and I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
precisely.
I've written some stupidly overly complicated rules that require lots of adding and minusing, and so we have now simplified them so they're better. But yeah, I was able to.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't that. It was just that you were trying to do the percentage. Of you were trying to figure out
the probability of
yeah,
certain
you were doing-
things. Yeah. Okay.
So
sure.
that stuff's fun. It was funny to see because I'm just like 4 plus, yeah.
That'll do me. All right. So the thing I want to talk about is me smashing these giant mirrors behind me.
Yeah, there's no mirrors here. Last time I was here, there's mirrors over there. Wall of mirrors.
So I took your advice, even though it pained me to waste these giant mirrors that someone probably wants.
Waste them, Scott.
So I was like, okay, I got my safety glasses on, put on pants, put on shoes, put on long sleeves. So I, just trying to avoid everything. Put on gloves.
You a lumberjack?
Yeah, I was lumberjack.
Okay.
I didn't have an axe though. That'd have been fucking hardcore. Anyways,
Flat side.
put the camera on because you definitely got to capture this.
Right.
Like, how often do you get to smash a giant freaking, I don't know, 7 foot tall, 4 foot wide mirror? Put the camera on, like faced away from the mirror, and I was like, let's do this. And I kind of like hit it with a hammer. Nothing happened. Okay.
Oh.
And I was okay. Hit it again, like 5% harder. Nothing happened. Hit it again, like 10% harder. Nothing happened. I'm like, what? This is a 10-pound hammer. Like, what is happening? It's not a weak, wimpy hammer. It was not breaking. And so then I was like, okay, maybe it's because it's against the wall. Like, maybe I need to like get some like distance.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to pull out like the top like bracket pieces that were holding it in, get some distance, put my hand kind of behind it, and then I hit it again. So it was kind of crack it, maybe along the line. Nothing happened. I was fucking hammering it. Nothing was happening. And I was like, it's so loud. It was so loud in my ears. And so that was okay. This is ridiculous. Okay, so then I went and got a Brad pointed bit, which is like a sharp little point that like drills holes in wood, but the point like starts like the hole. And I used it as a chisel, put it in the corner of the mirror, and I was hammering that thing. And that point flattened down.
Still no progress.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think the glass is a 1/4 inch thick, but you can kind of see that one. We're keeping that one for other purposes. You see how thick that is?
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this glass so damn thick? And I was like, okay, probably because if someone were to handle a piece of glass this big and it was thin, it would probably break so easily, right? So you need some insurance. Right. So I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I was like,
bulletproof.
Then I went to freaking Ace Hardware, got a glass cutter. Okay, I'm gonna cut a line. So I'll cut it in little sections and then break it along that line. I just done a stained glass class, did a bunch of that, so I was kind of familiar with how it worked. So drew a line across, nice. It made the sound it's supposed to make when glass is cutting. A nice little 1 foot section. Hammering along that line, nothing happens, and I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? And so I was just so pissed at that point, and so I just pried the whole thing off the wall to the point where I could hear like drywall paper starting to tear. And then it came off the wall and I saw this black freaking glue.
Prometheus goo back there.
Prometheus goo. And then I got it on the ground and then I put a bar, one of those bars, under it. So there was like a cantilever. And I just hammered the end and it just fucking exploded.
That's why it was so like just fragmented.
Yeah. And then when I went to go pick him up, I arrived in a van full of broken glass. But it was an operation, like, because I didn't want to like track glass dust like upstairs, and so every piece I broomed off, I carried with like gloves, I put it in the van, I came down here, like little pieces I put in the plastic container so that I could carry upstairs, so I wasn't getting stuff everywhere. But I didn't want to like track that stuff throughout the house. But it took me, I don't know, that whole thing probably took me like 3 hours to do, like the figuring out of what I'm doing wrong, breaking it, transporting it into the van.
It just from, I'm gonna need to break this thing. Let me break it, and then it's like, oh wait, this is hard to break.
It's glass. You would think it's not hard to
right.
break.
Here we go.
It was an operation.
Yeah, that stuff is it's tempered. It's pretty strong
It's
stuff.
for a body to fly into it if they're doing workout stuff.
Maybe,
here.
yeah.
Kind of
And they could take it for sure.
Yeah. You basically have to smash it as if you're gonna try to go through the wall.
Yeah,
But you don't want to do that.
Because then you just
Go through the
lacerate yourself.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Get super sliced. Jeez.
Yeah, but you got all that goo over the wall, so that probably did not help anything because its adherent points are like 50.
yeah. But strangely, like, it was clearly not sticking to the glue, and like the drywall anchors this person used to put these things in, tiny baby little things.
Oh.
So I'm shocked that it stuck on the wall, but it did. And I got it off eventually.
Got it off.
Anyways, that was my saga.
I wanted to share my little stories. People were asking about the little NDA oopsie poopsie that I had with Army Painter.
Oh yeah,
The Marquises.
That was funny. They rolled with it great though.
Yeah. So apparently, when I released my video with markers, one of them that I used was the Army Painter marker, and the NDA on that was 7 days after when my video came out, and I trying to be a professional that I am, before I scheduled when I was going to release this video, I referenced the email that they sent me on the 30th of June about this product. And on that, they did not state a date for an NDA. There was no date stated at all. And then I saw the weekend before all the pictures and stuff from Gen Con of the markers. They had them at the booth at Gen Con. So there was all these pictures and stuff already out there on social media. So I'm like,
You're like,
I'm good.
yep.
And 10 minutes after the video goes live, I get contacted by 2 different employees of the Army Painter. They're both very, very nice, really cool dudes. Alan and Adam were just really good dudes.
Like,
but
hey,
yeah, but they were
I hope this finds you well.
understandably, they were stressing out a little bit. And I'm like, the email, there was no date. And he's like, in the package that I sent you, there was a piece of paper. And in the paper, it had the date. And I'm like, man, I get like 20 packages a week. I don't read no papers inside the packages.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't read it.
I thought that said the
invoice,
shipping.
you
I thought
know?
that. I thought that said.
Yes.
Thanks
tells
for
you
your
what's in the
purchase.
box.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and they're like, all cool. I'm like, all right, let's roll with this, right? Let's have some fun with it. And they were all on board or whatever and stuff. And they were cool otherwise, and they were cool to work with or whatever. So just like, you know,
GW, take fucking notes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool though. Wait,
Yeah.
so I know you told me that story, but we didn't go over that, dude. Does that fit a can
It
perfectly?
does.
It did a little
yeah. That's one of those like just
Satisfying.
Yeah,
moments.
yeah. Little nice little thing in life. Wow.
Yeah, my can has a perfect spot.
You didn't know the bottom of a pop can fits perfectly into the door hole for a door.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pop off all your door handles and just stick pop cans in them.
Yeah.
Put one up in
That's
there.
a new door handle. It's just
Yep.
like-
Yeah, turn it.
Do you have any crazy stories from the air ride over here? The air ride.
The air ride over here, not really crazy. I think the only thing that was different on this particular trip was this was the first time I got put at the very back of the plane,
Oh, okay.
like the back.
Yeah.
You know, usually I'm kind of like in the middle,
You can't lean back at all.
but straight on the wall, and it was fine. But the things that I noticed were mostly because I've been telling you, every time I've been taking a flight, pretty much in the past 3-ish years, the past couple of Adepticons, and like when I go to California to visit Sean or come in here, I have been like raw dogging the entire thing, like no music, no movies. I'm just
Present.
yeah, just there. And this time doing that, I just noticed because I was usually just trying to sleep or something, but the engines are way louder. I'm like, damn, the engines are way louder back here. This is like when you do the takeoff in the plane and you feel the engines kick in and you just kind of feel the plane move.
Yeah.
When that was happening, I remember just being like, wow, that's a lot louder than I expected. But the thing that I did enjoy about it that I found funny was I've never sat so far back so that I could hear what the
Flight attendants.
It was like hanging out with them. They were having great conversations about.
You were hanging out with them. They were hanging out with you, though.
I was just there because like again, no music or nothing. I'm just like looking around, thinking of stuff, and then listening to all these sounds and stuff. Watching that guy, he's watching John Wick. This person's watching Jurassic Park. You know, so I'm like dual moving without any sound. You know, and I'm like, they just
imagine the dialogue.
yeah. And they just took out his dog right there. You know. And, yeah, that's what is funny watching movies silent like that, because if you are familiar with it, especially like if you have heard it, like when we tried to watch Alien Romulus last night on the Blu-ray,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, the Blu-ray sound didn't work.
Yeah.
But not only that we found weird when we put in the regular 1080p, not only did the sound not work for the Blu-ray, but it was as if it wasn't playing the sound because the movie wasn't playing the subtitles either.
Yeah.
So you couldn't like see the subtitles and then go, oh, we're not hearing anything. It was literally just no sound. It was like, what's wrong with this movie? It was so confusing.
But the HD disc worked just fine. Not the 4K one. I don't know why.
Yeah. It was bizarre, but watching
It looked pretty anyways. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it was totally fine. But when you see one of the things that was happening is that the movie was like starting up, and we were asking, "Is there sound?"
I know.
I
I hate it
sitting
when
there
movies do
making.
that.
I was making the sound for the stuff because I'm like, it's got to sound like this, right? Isn't this?
He's
what's
doing like
going on?
computer like terminal
Yeah, dude,
sounds, and he
computer
was totally right. Like we watched
Yeah.
it again, and it was like
When we
ching,
went
ching,
back,
ching,
yep.
like, you know, it was like, oh my god, you like fucking nailed it.
Yeah,
You're like, there's
so-
got to be sounds right now, and it sounds like this.
Yeah, and so like when I watch the movie silently behind people, I'm always kind kind of like, oh, I know that scene, so I'm like also imagining the sound and stuff too a little bit. It was a fun one, but otherwise, a really nice little trip flying over here.
Good.
I've had that a time or two before too, where I can just overhear the conversations of the flight attendants when they're sitting down, and it's weird because it's just like any coworkers in like an office environment. The conversations they have in the air is the same as like if they were in an office.
Yeah,
They'd be like, yeah, like Sharon, she's a giant bitch. Like, why didn't she like come get the drink card earlier and stuff? You're like, God damn it, Sharon. Why are you fucking up the flight again? Smashing the dude's knees in the aisle.
They don't care about that.
Right? Yeah.
No,
Speaking from experience.
I thought it was just interesting to hear because it's like, I just like hearing these like other people's experiences, hearing about the stuff that they're like the thing that the girl was studying and stuff, where she's going to school and things. It's just so random,
Absolutely.
but there's just like little bits of information. I'm like, wow, she sounds excited. I hope it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those moments where it's like, okay, there are people that are living lives outside of mine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the raw dog.
There's a word for
raw
that.
dog. The airport is a big thing of that, like people
Okay.
watching.
Yeah,
It's like I'm so isolated all the time.
Mm.
I'm just doing work at the basement, and then if I do go out, it's generally to the hobby store to get spray paint or something because I need it for this thing, and then it'll be like a couple of weeks before I go out to eat or go out to a show or something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember I did a commission for a local artist, and he had me meet me at this like pizza shop walking downtown. It was a Friday evening. And I was walking, and I had like the little miniature in my hand and stuff, and I was going to the pizza thing, and I stopped, and I looked through this big old wall, big glass, door to ceiling like bar, and I was like just caught. I was like, wow, look at all these people like enjoying themselves, and I was like, this is what people do. They come out here have fun. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. I was like, oh, that's right. People want to go outside, and then.
Not us.
Yeah, no, I'm good down here.
Yeah, and so going to the airport after being so isolated feels like it's like you're going to the top, and you're speed running because it's like you're international people. You're just seeing all sorts of stuff, and so it's a lot of good people watching and looking about.
Oh yeah, airport's a great place for that.
The one thing that did suck about being on the back is like deboarding the plane is always such a drag.
Yeah.
But man, this was like you in the long haul. The pilots were literally being like, wow, they keep coming as people were leaving. I was like, yeah, dog, well, I'm the last, so don't worry.
I love the people that as soon as the wheels touch the ground, they're fucking standing up.
Oh yeah.
They're like,
dude.
what? You're standing
Behind me.
That's my wife, but she doesn't do it because she's trying to get out. She does it for like injustice purposes. Like she's like, no one who is behind me will get ahead of me.
Yeah, no, I'm walling.
Yeah. So she'll just like be like barrier.
Yeah, no, I respect it.
Like that's the arms race. Like that's the reason people do it, and then that's the other reason people do it. It's chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
like, oh man, come on.
Especially if you got stuff. Like you got stuff that you're trying to grab, and you're also trying to move, and it's also up there, but you back there. I was like,
Yeah. Oh man, if your bag is behind you, dude,
Yeah,
you're fucking waiting the entire time.
Yeah,
you know?
chilling.
There's no one. You're not going backward.
Right. That is one reason why I prefer to be in the back of the bus. I prefer it back there because I'm like, I ain't got to wait for nobody.
Yeah, there's no pressure.
I haven't been flown with the overhead. I just like go as light as possible, just like a little backpack under, and so I can just be like, time to go.
Yeah. I have no checked luggage because I hate waiting for the luggage when I get to the airport. I want to just have all of it and then leave like immediately.
Checked. Yeah. Oh, speaking of the airport, that is the situation that I'm dealing with right now in trying to figure out how I'm going to get Vizik to Nova in a plane because he's a good 9-10 inches tall.
Oh yeah,
he's huge.
The demon entry.
Yeah, the giant rat. So I'm bringing him in Nova,
man. Oh my gosh.
So I have the case that I brought here.
Okay.
And he will fit if I lay him down on that.
Sideways. Yeah.
And so I bought this steel roof sheeting. And I drilled magnets into his base, 5 of those big neodite magnets or whatever. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm just gonna. And I put a little like contraption where on the back of the steel sheet there's like little notches that I can slide in the side hooks of that thing, so it slides in, and then I can put him on there. So I let it dry. I put him to it, and he's so heavy he just like slides.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, oh fuck, what
You
am I
need
gonna
like
do?
some
kind of like
braces.
a wedge or something like that
little
to hold it in place.
foam braces or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I decided I was going to do. So I've got some like heavy duty foam, and I cut it in half circles, the exact diameter of the width, because the base is like that tall.
Nice.
So I have two thick those, and then onto the magnets, those supported underneath, and then the heavy duty poster tack. And then I'm gonna probably put some like quilt backing, which is really it's more firm but really cushy underneath him. And that's my strategy thus far. But that's my bonus item.
Yeah, gosh.
I have to take that with me
Yeah,
and
no
put it
doubt,
under
right.
my seat.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I was traveling. I think it was the first time I was traveling to Adepticon with Relic Blade Studio paints in my bag, and I was checking because it was the big Citadel case, the big plastic one. And at this point, since it was like my first Adepticon, I was like overpacking. I was like, I'm bringing all my miniatures. You know,
you
like,
bring
I'm gonna
every
play, I'm gonna play
game.
all my games.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of big shit. And I remember they're like, we have to check bags on this flight. We have to check like 15 bags. So please, and I remember as soon as they said that, like it was like me and this old lady who also had a bag, and I was just like, it's you, old lady. Yeah, these miniatures are not going down there. Like, you know, like.
Right. Yeah. To have that conversation, I've had to have that conversation once with like an employee, and I'm like,
you're like, it's not happening.
no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. No, like this is staying with me. This isn't my fucking shampoo and my socks. This
Right.
is,
Yeah.
and I've never understood the checking. Like, there's not enough space.
It is weird, right? It is very weird. I kind of don't know what is the metric. How do you know?
Well, like you have.
there a
The plane can
value?
hold X people,
Yeah.
and X people's worth of carry-on. Why is there not space?
Yeah.
What is magically going in there?
It feels like a buffer when they're like when they say that they're full, then that the overheads are they have like 90 spots for 100 spots of people. So
Yeah.
we're 10 down all automatically, and we got to start checking. It is bizarre.
I never understood that. I'm like, man, we don't have the engineering
Got the
capabilities.
technology no more.
No, it just is not possible. That drives me nuts. I want to talk to you guys about Bean Trifecta.
Hold on, I have a great segue.
Okay, go.
Because you're talking about Nova Open.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at a convention in Missouri, Kansas City, called Meepleathon.
Oh.
So me and Amber wanted to see about like what is it like to run a booth at an actual miniature hobby show, maybe the one that's not super large, and you don't have to fly to. Which Adepticon is massive, Nova Open is massive and far away, and so this one we're going to drive to. And I'm also teaching classes there, 2 classes, beginner NMM, and also like the power of like layering, or like I don't know what they're called, but that's what it is. They're both 2-hour long classes. If you want to get involved in those classes, I'll have a link down in the description or show notes below. But check it out. We'll be there in November at Meepleathon. But I'm excited to trying to be a booth vendor at one of these shows. It's kind of a new, fun, exciting experience.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear. We can talk about that when you get back and see what the
Yeah.
experience is like.
Yeah, standing for 10 hours a day and then go and teach classes. Yeah.
Yeah, you should ask Malev. He does a lot of that standing for 10
Oh
hours.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do. You're very experienced.
Yeah, I do. It's quite a thing. But one of the things that I really realized though is you guys have heard that phrase, like if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I worked a convention with Sean. I remember like looking down at the floor, and it was an LVO, looking down at the those like ugly casino colored carpet cigarette
Oh
stain,
yeah.
and I was just walking, looking, and I remember being so tired because we like got there, loaded in, set up, and then the days were like 10-hour days and stuff. And that particular place had they were doing the no outside food. You have to use the little what do they call them? The concession stand that we hired, and then you go and they're like, that's $8 for a coffee, and you're like, ugh. So like we just weren't really eating correctly and stuff, and so all at the end of the day, I just remember being so tired. But I was like walking and looking down at my feet, and I was like, I'm so exhausted, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Like these steps feel so intentional, and there was I found that it gave me such a weird energy because it was very tiring, but at the same time, like my endurance for it, because I was so interested in it.
Yeah.
Because I truly like doing it, truly like talking to people about stuff. Again, it goes into the isolation thing. You know, it's just for a couple of days. You know, you get to really open up and just talk to people and
people who are like you, have similar interests and stuff like that.
When I say, you know, when I point at something, they assume that I painted it, as opposed to like at some conventions I've been, and you know, they'll like halfway through the demo, they're like, wait, you have to build and paint these? yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. No. Literally like back up right then. You know, I've had people be like, oh, I don't want to waste your time. I'm sorry. You know?
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah,
Oh
like
my
he's
God.
that. They were like that. Once they realized it was the hobby style of game, you know, as opposed to like a board game, they were like, oh, whoa. You know, whoa, I gotta go.
Glue?
Yeah. They're like, oh, I can't do this. You know?
Do this. Yeah, I wonder if you're gonna get any of that with the Meeples peoples.
Probably not. So I asked them, I was like, what's the breakdown on your audience? Like, is it in terms of like RPG players, people who maybe are gamers, people who are maybe painters? Like, what does it look like? And he was like, 40 to 50% of our event are miniature painters. There's a miniature painting competition there and stuff like that. And it's all kind of a very tight, like, it's like Twin Cities Con, which is like generic geek. People into Star Wars, people into cosplay, people into all kinds of stuff like that, like books. And this is more like a model forward thing, not as tightly focused on miniature wargame like Adepticon or Nova Open, but still way tighter than Twin Cities Con. So I feel like it'll be a good test for like, is this like a financially viable thing that we should try to do more often? Like, is it too much work for like, you know, for the squeeze? So like, I don't know. I think I just like experiencing and trying new things. You know, I think it's one thing about like YouTube and miniature painting that I find so interesting is like finding new things to try out, which is why I love doing like different format videos between like vlogging and more like narrative short stuff or like whatever it may be. It's like I want to figure out what that whole process looks like, and then once I figure it out, try something new, you know? So it's the same with the hobby, trying new techniques, new model companies, things like that. I do enjoy that sometimes. So this is like a new experience to have. And if you're interested in nearby Kansas City, come on out. November 14th to 16th, I think is what it is.
Wow, that'll be fun.
That'll be fun, man.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
But beans, though.
Yeah, I had a couple more things on the list, but I'm gonna keep it to this because I can loop one in a separate time. But I again accidentally, this time not accidental Jesus, this time accidental beans. I found out because I don't eat breakfast, so I just eat 2 meals a day, and usually just for lunch I just have protein shake. But this serious course of events unfolded on me last weekend, where I had gone to different things like a family birthday party and then a get together with friends, and then the next day we had D&D. And throughout those 3 meals, I had homemade baked beans 3 times in a row.
Homemade,
all homemade recipes, all amazing. I ate quite a bit of each.
Beans out.
These 3 beans. And
these 3 beans.
These 3 beans.
It sounds like the beginning of like a Christmas like hymnal. These 3 wise men or something. I don't know.
And it occurred to me as I'm finishing up this final plate of 3 beans at our D&D session that
Mid-session,
Mid-session,
you're shoveling beans.
Mid-session.
We can hear the spoon hit the plate.
It's just beans on the plate.
I mean, there was also cheeseburger, but it was,
Okay.
Ginger Jesus made some good beans.
He was bean in it.
I realized that I had made a grave error.
Okay.
And I proceeded to smell worse than I've ever smelled in my life for the remaining 2 hours of the D&D session. It was.
Did you put that?
I'm
into
role
the
playing.
You were like,
that's what I was saying.
Noxious
like,
fumes in the dungeon.
Yo, it's crazy smells. My character hasn't showered for.
Yeah,
My character just ate crazy beans.
So it just hit me all at once, like all 3, like it's like their powers combined, right? They were like Captain Planet of beans.
They caught up in your lower intestines.
And they all just, and it was never made a sound. It just made my whole ass warm.
It was the SBD.
Yeah.
The true SBD.
It was just, my ass was just warm, like I had a heat pad on my butt, and
I was working in overtime.
their eyes were watering at the table. It was so bad.
So they were laughing, or because they were being?
So wait,
it smelled so bad.
Oh my
So,
God.
but are people none the wiser? Or is everyone very wise?
They were very wise.
They're figuring it out in real time,
Right, yeah,
with
'cause
the tears they're falling.
Yeah, single tear. Tears of a clown. And there was no dogs around for me to blame it on, right?
Okay.
Sometimes I can blame it on the dogs.
Or Dobby.
Yeah, Dobby, he's a smelly cat.
Fart factory over there, dude.
But at this point, after about the second one, I was like, they looked at me and I couldn't.
The
hold-
second one,
The second one, they couldn't.
the second heat pad.
The second heat pad kids, and they're like, oh, because the first time you were like,
Oh,
what was
see,
that?
yeah, it was a mystery a little bit.
Right. Yeah, and
Just
then
like that, baby. And they just fade away.
Then it was. They looked at me. I could not hold back my smile, and at that point,
As you were shoveling more meat. Guys, who do you think it was? You guys aren't eating anymore.
Yeah, the floodgates were open at that point. It was there was no stopping it, and I embraced the bean at that point, and I just let them run their course.
Yeah.
And so that's a word to the wise. This is a public service announcement. Do not triple bean.
Yeah.
Do not triple bean.
3 meals in a row. Breakfast.
3 meals in a row. 3 different bean recipes. Right?
Refried.
They were all baked beans.
Big.
They were all baked beans, but all individual recipes.
You bean man?
Yeah, I wasn't when I was a kid, but I like a good homemade Midwestern baked bean. They are solid.
Okay.
They are solid. Get a little molasses flavor in there. You get a little bacon. You get a little brown sugar.
Yeah.
Ooh, doggy. A little smoked paprika. Ooh, baby.
And then the room's smelling like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I should have had a big plate before I left this morning just to see.
Yeah, we would have brought the experience
Yeah.
to the trap.
So that we could
yeah.
be crying.
Trapped us with it.
Trapped under fucking John's farts. Dude.
Yeah.
Trapped under blankets.
We should do an episode inside of a pillow fort. No, we shouldn't. That'd be fucking awful.
Just mood lighting.
The sound would be so funny.
Yeah. All right. We want to thank some of our TUP partners for sponsoring this show, companies that we really enjoy and appreciate and that make stuff that we genuinely use and like in the hobby. First on that list is the Army Painter. Why don't you check out their new Blanche sets? The singles are now available from that paint set. And also, I want to put some love on Army Painter for just being so widely available in so many hobby shops. It's like they truly bring the hobby to everyone, or like as many people as they can, more than a lot of companies. And I really appreciate that.
Next one is Redgrass Games, our favorite, or my favorite, not to speak for Malev or Scott here, miniature painting light on the market. The CRI on these things are crazy. They've got the big boy edition, and they also have the solo desk lamp edition based on what your needs are. Both are incredibly bright, and they are adjustable. And obviously, they make amazing painting handles as well.
Next, we have Steamforged Games, and they want to bring some attention to their P3 Wave 2 Kickstarter campaign, now available to late backers. And also, Steamforged also makes Guild Ball, and they have it. They're supporting it right now. You can get STLs for the game and play it right now. One of my favorite miniature war games. I love Steamforged for bringing that game back. That's awesome.
To tie into the theme of ninjas today, our final one for this first list of TUP partners is Corvus Belli with Space Ninjas, because everybody knows that JSA is the best faction in Infinity because it's Space Ninjas.
Got ninjas.
Yeah, and so if you like Space Ninjas or other awesome space things, you need to give Corvus Belli in Infinity a try. Or if you like fantasy things, check out Warcrow.
Okay, so
they got the elf ninjas.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude. New elf ninjas are pretty sweet too.
Yes, yeah. So we have Malev here as a guest. Malev is a prominent fixture in the miniature painting hobby. He's a commissioned painter. He works really closely with Relic Blade and Sean Sutter and that whole company, which is called something
Metal King Studios.
Metal King Studios. I want you to just kind of let people know where people can find you and stuff like that. Give us like a very, very brief bio on you before we get into the rest of the episode.
Word. Yeah. Well, hey, y'all. My name's Malev, and yeah, I am really into the hobby. I work with Sean Sutter on Relic Blade and Metal King Studio, and I make a couple of my own games with Blacksite Studio. Those are my publishers.
Ghost Boat.
Ghost Boat. Yeah, we got that. We got that one in the works. And yeah, mostly what I'm doing is painting miniatures, kind of being freelance in this little industry, designing games. Yeah, just like John said at the beginning when we were talking off, I have a lot of hats and I be switching them on and off constantly. I be painting a lot, but recently, it's just been doing so much game design.
Okay, so let's kind of get into that. This portion of the podcast is where we talk about things we've been working on recently in the hobby, whether it's developing rules, whether it's painting models, whether it's converting them, doing terrain. So what's something that you worked on very recently?
Very recently, is probably Greathelm.
Greathelm
is the thing that's been kind of taking up my attention. Greathelm was last year. I started this little challenge called the One Box War Game Challenge, which was this notion to just try and jumpstart people's like design and creativity. It was just to jumpstart mine because I made that little YouTube video talking about the process. But the response to it was people liked that idea, and some people were like, "Hey, are you?"
Sorry about that slight interruption. If the video watchers noticed there was no video for just a little bit, the camera just shut off on its own accord.
It's ninja stuff.
Right, yeah. The ghost boat is here.
Yeah, but it didn't even, whatever. Yeah, it's fixed now. Okay, so.
Yeah, so what I was saying is like, it's sort of, I just had such a good response that, when it came to like a play test, because I think one of the sort of strangest things about, releasing stuff is that kind of like how people respond.
All right, we're back. Hopefully for the last time. We're hoping that we got the problem solved and it was an SD card issue. It doesn't matter. Visuals are back. We're talking about scenes.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, I'm ranting about Greathelm and talking about how I was just telling John off when we were kind of fixing things is that most games are big. Most games traditionally play on a tabletop, and the tabletop has traditionally been pretty large so that you can eat and do things on it. And while that is wonderful, as from an accessibility standpoint, from getting games together standpoint, if you've got to paint 50 miniatures and then your buddy also has to paint 50 miniatures and we need at least a 4x4 table and we want 5 things of terrain and stuff, it's like, these are insane projects. These are really big projects at this point. So most of the stuff when I'm designing games and where Greathelm is trying to go is really just trying to be really accessible, just cut out, that phrase, cut out all the fat, just go straight to the fun, right? You're immediately right in the action. You're not like starting the battle and then, the opening thing, we're moving and moving. And it's like, no, the dudes are already, we starting the game and our guys are hitting each other already. And so you just kind of speed run everything just to the fun, just to get to the results and kind of make it a really narrative experience going from one scene to the next scene to the next. And that's kind of how the scenarios flow almost, if the attacker wins, then you progress. Attacker wins, then you progress. But if like the defender wins, then they'll get repelled from the walls or something like that.
Different progression in the story.
Yeah. So each scenario, instead of kind of just being like one thing where you got to run and like interact with an objective, each scenario is made up of several scenes. That when you play through the scenes, you'll have a whole battle. You'll have imagined that battle. And,
that's cool.
And how it worked and how it went.
Yeah, that reminds me of, we were watching a battle report from that one company, Games Night, and like the way that guy kind of GMs a miniature war game. And he's like, at certain points in the scenario, narrative events are going to occur, and like the focus of what you're doing is going to shift around the particular battlefield. And it kind of reminds me of what you're describing here. It's like once you complete this sub-objective, like the framework kind of changes and you move into the next like narrative progression, which is why it makes sense to call it a scene. So it's kind of cool.
And scene, and in between too, because the way that you have your characters, there is this element of progression. One of the things that I'm really excited about for this, going again with the accessibility thing, is like if we're going to do a campaign game, a lot of the times what you initially have to do is not only collect your miniatures and paint them and stuff, but then you also have to like fill out your roster.
Yeah.
Got to write all their names down, got to write all their equipment that they have. And that stuff is really cool and fun. But with Greathelm, I'm trying something called like discovery play, where leaning naturally into, like, I'm sure you guys have had like a model that does, this model's going crazy this game. Like he's always passing his checks or always doing something, or this guy's killing, he's hitting all his shots. Like a model is just performing arbitrarily better than all of the other little plastic models, and there's like a character is almost coming out of your game as you're playing it. So with that in mind, there's an achievement system in the game that's, so like if a guy takes out a guy, or if a guy knocks a guy off of a tower or something, you kind of notice it, and whichever character in your scene kind of popped off the most, you can at the end of the game have they be noticed. They become noticed, as if everybody was like, yo, dog, I saw you going crazy on the battlefield. Did you see who? And then at that point, that's when you name the character. Because you go, oh, that's Sir John. That was Sir John. He went crazy and he battled and he did this. And then they get the title achievement. So then they'll kind of like attach their name. Then at that point, you give them the stats and stuff. And then every time from then, when you have a character and you deploy into a game, you can choose one of your 6 knights to be a faceless soldier guy who's just a part of the battle, or you can sub in one of your characters into the scene who is like my strong guy, who's I know because he's got the better weapons or better equipment, he's going to be able to get me through the door really quick or something like that. But the problem with that is in the game, there is like just like when you get removed from a game, there's kind of like a little injury roll and stuff. But in this game, if you do that injury roll at all, like your guy will die. So it could be guys can get killed very easily, but at the same time, those same guys can be really awesome. So this very kind of movie-esque inspired scene kind of game that is very cinematic and narrative is a big vibe, because the game has a lot of like match play across each other, but the type of experience that I'm trying to craft is one where 2 people, you know, will be able to sort of experience a cool narrative, a siege assault or something, and when they're done with it, they will have those story beats, you know, and be able to walk away with like a cool, oh man, we just had this cool battle.
I love it. And if you are interested in that kind of experience, I know I am, like being a lover of Arthurian lore and stuff like that. Again, we'll have the preview page for the Kickstarter campaign linked down in our show notes or description below.
Yeah, make sure you hit the follow on that, so then you get updated when Malev goes live or has got any other important things to tell you. So we want to push as many followers as we can to that so it doesn't fall off your radar. Scott, did you do anything in the hobby this week? I saw you came out with the video, so you got some stuff brewing.
Yeah, I lied to you. I said I was going to do some painting. I didn't know painting. We're doing painting today. Me and Malev are. We're going to work on some figures for the volleyball demo we're doing tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Source. Something I did as kind of artistic is I did a stained glass class with my wife who was interested in it, and the class was for making a flower, but they were like, you can do anything that fits on a stick, and so I made a sword because I'm a fucking geek. But I've never done stained glass before, and so this is jank as fuck, but it was an enjoyable process. It was like we were there for like 5 hours.
Like, it seemed like a short kind of process.
No, there's many steps. Yeah,
really into it. Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of intense toward the end. Amber was shocked that she's able to sit down and do something for 5 hours.
Yeah,
because she kind of likes to move around a lot and doesn't like to kind of sit and do one activity for too long. But yeah, she hammered it out. Hers looks like way better than mine.
Yeah, it looks really cool. But I like yours because it's exactly the same thing that I would do. They'd be like, you can make this thing that I could show you that would probably look really good if you just follow my steps.
Right, the class
or you
has
can
these
just do
steps.
the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna do the thing.
Yeah, I know. I need to be a special snowflake, right? So yeah, we're working on minis later today, but I worked on the stained glass in the meantime. But what did you do that's actually related to the topic of our podcast?
Yeah, I've painted or working on 2 different models. This what are these guys called? Votan, Leagues of Votan.
Leagues of Votan.
I painted this guy, and in the document, and I'll show it to Malev, I've got a link there. This was based off of one of my my color cards that I'm.
Oh yeah, from
making.
that box. That box of color cards.
I'm making my own actually.
Oh, you're making your own.
Yeah. So this is the template. So I've been working for about a year on these and have an artist come up with all the layout, the borders.
So this would be like the card that you pull, and you have the scene, and then you have the swatch.
Yep. And then that's the back of the card where it tells you what paints to use and stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, so working with artists to find good fantasy and sci-fi arts, and it's going to be 2 decks. Each is going to be 50 cards, 1 sci-fi, 1 fantasy for the first range, and so much work that's going into this. And I was actually hoping, because I'm getting the sample cards, a bunch of them, that I was going to bring to you guys, so I'll just have to bring them back or mail them to you, of samples to get your thoughts on them and know that they look and the feel, and they're actually going to have they're having gold and silver filigree on them, so everything in the border and everything will all be foiling. They're actually tarot card size.
I'm a tarot card lover.
Yeah, so they're of that dimension, they're of that higher quality feel and stuff. And so I just took that paint scheme from that art and I applied it and painted this model. And I was not very far into the model before I realized, like, ooh, this only has like one pop color. And if I were to redo the colors that I showed there, instead of having that more of a rust orange, I would have gone into the frame of the artwork that's more of a reddish orange. Because as a painter, that would have given me access to red. And I did not have access to red in painting this guy. Because then I could mix that reddish orange with the off yellow to create a more true orange. But it allowed me to like use colors that I like. There's like a gray green that's in there, and I was like, that actually gives me just a little bit of cold, and it was fun. And in the after party, I'm going to talk about my thought process over painting something where you only have one pop color or one saturated color, because I learned a lot in there, and it made me really kind of enjoyably have to flex and find solutions to make the model not look totally same, and I couldn't just rely on saturated colors to get me out of that.
Sure.
And so how did I go about that? I learned a lot.
Okay. That's sick. Miniatures are small.
Yeah, dude.
Miniatures are miniature. It's crazy. And it's like one of those things where I keep mentioning it, but like being an isolated artist, it's so difficult sometimes to really like, I'd be looking at that. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Just seeing someone else's brush strokes.
Yeah.
And like
their style.
It's such an interesting thing to look at.
And how they approach things, differently.
Yeah, that's a really cool scheme.
Yeah. He was really
muted, but nicely collected.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed painting him.
It's a pretty cool model. He's got the hard surfaces. He's got those raggedy robes. Then you've got the carapace, the chitin.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Energy.
Fun to work with surfaces, and then like the smooth hard armor with the rough,
and
carapace.
then like the texture on the base and stuff is a really nice contrast against all of that.
Yeah. He was fun to do, and he took me about one work day, so he's probably 6-7 hours.
Okay.
To paint him.
Not too bad.
Yeah, but
he's a cool little guy.
He is cool.
I like he's got his left arm has no armor.
Yes, but he's got kind of like the inverted fingerless glove kind of thing, though. Yeah.
Well, he's like, I think the half of his hand is missing, so he's got.
Oh, is that what it is?
Okay. I think those are robotic hands.
That makes more sense.
He only got his pinky left.
Yeah, he lost it to a Tyranid chomp.
Yeah, he just got one chomp, and he just got the one dangler.
The dangler.
The one dangler. He's like, I got my pinky. I can still drink tea.
I feel like this is the kind of paint scheme that I like to do, where like you have one color that's the star of the show, and then like everything else is like subservient to it. I think this is like even a little bit more muted than like I would do though, but I don't think that's like a critique at all of like the paint scheme. I think that
came from the card, right?
People will look at this and absolutely like it. Like they'll be like, that's how my minis to look, like that kind of thing. Like it's absolutely like something that people would really enjoy. I think it looks great and you executed well.
Thank you.
And so they all have the same five colors.
They all have five colors.
The same five, but
we were real boring.
Yeah. Every single card actually has the same colors on it. They just arranged differently.
Yeah, it's different order.
Yeah.
Maybe no one will notice. I don't know. Yeah. They all have 5 colors on them. And I thought that number felt right.
Yeah.
Because then you could always use white and black, or you could do what you want, but it's like these are the foundation, or you can paint. I only painted with those 5. I didn't use white or black in my color scheme, but it kind of gives you a good starting off point, and I really like the fact that you having like a scene or something.
The scene helps you.
Visual.
Yeah, the scene helps you see, because I think a lot of the times what's tough with like because people will be like, "What's the recipe?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'll give you it. It's yellow, ochre, and red.
Right.
Good luck. Like, what did you expect? So it's a weird question sometimes, because I'm like, is just knowing the color good enough for you? Like,
I think it is.
Sometimes, yeah, it will. But sometimes I definitely surprise people, because they'll look at something and they're like, "How did you do this thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just literally yellow, ochre, the dark blue, and then the red, and then and then they're like, "Oh." oh,
Yeah.
well, it's like, the mixing of these things,
Right.
as opposed to like,
The art card shows you like how much percentage of this frame am I dedicating to off-white yellow? Am I dedicating to this super saturated orange? Am I using this gray for? So it gives you like an idea. Like I think a different way to visualize the swatches
the
would be like
coming together.
a bigger square is like my green gray. A smaller square is my fiery orange. And so it's like that gives you like some kind of like ratio idea, but it's way better to see it in a piece of art. That's just like way more translatable.
Yeah, because sometimes I can show you just the cubes, but if I showed you the cubes and then artwork done with those, you can visualize. The biggest thing I want to do is for it to get to look at a card and then to have a card inspire you to just paint. Like that's the whole point. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I feel like it's enough of training wheels to just act. And then once I get working with these, that's when the real learning happens. It's right. It's not just asking for the color scheme.
It's like a jumping off point, right?
Sure.
It's the doing. You got to do it.
So those will be my samples will hopefully be showing up in the mail early next week because I've got to get this video done and I need the cards for that. I painted it just off the digital assets. So then I'm going to bring those to Nova. Then I'm going to be handing them out and they're going to have a fun little QR code on the cards that I'm going to hand out to people where they can go to the homepage to pre-order and you get a discount for pre-ordering them. So I know how many to manufacture because when you're manufacturing cardboard, numbers matter. The more you order, the cheaper it is. And so I'm doing that. And the other thing that I painted is I put in some more work on my King of Thule bust that I'm painting for Nova.
Insane.
And per usual, I think we're all three of us at this table are probably guilty of this. When you jump into something new for the first time, because I haven't really done cast shadows before, I did the dumbest possible thing, and that was to make the most overtly complex, over-the-top version instead of just being like, hey, I'll just do a little cast shadow under his nose and show the other side of his, his eye.
Yeah, it's not that sort of subtle like that. You went, no, he's behind a barred window.
Yes. And how to do all that, and then how the different light will work, and oh my god! So I spent like 3 full days just trying to refine it to the point where to tell that story.
Did you use reference? Were you looking at?
I actually took pictures with my phone with the model to get the lights, the bars up correctly.
Yeah. Did you like recreate the scene mini?
Yes.
Oh, word. That's great.
Yeah. So I took pictures on my phone of that to get the light angle correctly, and then oddly, it's very hard to find pictures of people looking into a sunset and not pictures of somebody from behind where they're totally blacked out looking into a sunset. Like having someone's face where the sunset is off camera in front of them. It's usually behind them to create the stark contrast so you see the sky. Yeah. So that was it's very hard to find reference photo, and I'm like I get so cross-eyed working on this guy of like feeling like I'm screwing up the lighting at some point, and where they intersect, I've fucked something up. And I know full well, because Eric Swinson is the head judge for this, that he is going to fucking destroy this.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I think it's working.
I had fun.
Good.
And I learned, and I realized.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part, man. You can't. There's so much stuff that, like, even asking if you did reference, and I was imagining that you were perhaps like looking at photos and stuff, but to even imagine that you'd create and then like try and do that as a technique to like understand, like I don't even know if I would have thought of that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that also the element of just diving headfirst into a thing you don't totally understand. It can be painful at times because you're frustrated like why things aren't working out, but also it really gives you this more comprehensive like learning experience.
Yeah, you're in the trenches.
Exactly, you're in the trenches. You got to kind of figure out how to dig yourself out a little bit.
And that is it's weird because that's precisely the thing that we're as just people, what motivates us, we're trying to avoid. Like we're trying to avoid not being in the trenches,
right?
Being uncomfortable in general.
Being uncomfortable in the trenches, where it's like, but that is where the magic does happen. Unfortunately,
it's
and
funny.
Being comfortable there is a real skill to temper.
Absolutely, yeah. It's funny you mentioned you worked on that guy for 3 days because I saw what it looked like last time, and I can tell the bars are blue. They're not as warm. I can tell there's a lot of warmth now in the sun side. Like there's more yellow tones, I think, maybe.
Yes, it's multiple layering tinting, layering,
Yeah,
tinting,
but
layering,
still,
tinting.
for 3 days of work,
Yes.
that's
Yeah, no,
that's
it's-
competitive painting sometimes,
These are
like
really
you're
impressive
really
pieces.
pushing the boulder up the hill. Like,
What I think is interesting about it though is that it is an effective scene.
Yeah,
you
oh,
know, like
absolutely.
even it's hard for me to look at the shadows and try and see if they're perfect or imperfect, but I am really just as I look at him, I'm sort of wrapped up in his immediate moment. You know,
I
He's
love the
he's
watery
chilling.
eyes.
Yeah, like the painting on it is phenomenal, and
Yeah.
it's a really cool scene.
Yeah, it
He's
is.
troubled.
I would
He's
just assume.
pondering.
Yeah, I just assumed
Really knows
that.
it's
I just assumed that because it's a bust and there's no base, that it was so
love
much
the
harder
lighting, dude.
to story tell.
Mm.
But what I decided to do was, it was obviously the scene is like him reflecting on his life as the sun is setting on his own life in his own kingdom. So I wanted to make that a little bit more tangible. So a little Easter egg that I did was two things. On the bottom, the side of his chair, is a little splotch of blood.
I saw that. I saw the blood splotches.
Okay, and so the way I visualize it, his front and to his left is the light. That is that is the good, right?
Yeah.
So the reverse of that shows all the decisions that he's had to make in his reign as king, and they're showing his corruption on the back, reverse back of the chair.
Yeah.
So there's all the blood that has been spilled, and there is the corruption in his kingdom.
His moldiness.
I love it.
that's-
I love the deep hidden message. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and there's even, he's holding a little flower, which the way my lighting works, you can't see the flower very well because the cool lighting from the room wouldn't show it, but there's little splotches of blood on a couple of the petals of the flower too. So that was just, I was like,
Oh,
I said
yeah,
3
yeah.
days, but 3 days of complete uncomfortability and
Yeah.
not knowing what to work on next.
Yeah.
So you sit and you stare at the thing. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna futz with the gold a little bit more, or like, okay, I think I need to like do more scratches, or now I need to build up the warmth, but I should do really light tinting because I don't want to like blow everything out and he's just orange and undo all the work I did. And so it's a lot of like tentative like tiptoeing, and it takes so fucking long. And it's like, oh, I wish I was more like, you know, when you see guys like Swinson or Angel Heraldez or Jose Da Vinci or,
That
you know,
is
Ruben
the
Martinez.
Very intense speed.
They're just like, woof.
Yeah, very very bold.
Super speed
Yes.
styles.
And I did start the model that way.
Yeah.
I did. And then I just got to a point where it's like, now
Okay.
I got a futz.
Now we
Yeah,
gotta
no, dude,
like
there's a
tiptoe around.
There's a very weird, like quite literally like a feeling out process.
Oh, yeah.
You know, an exploratory region of, and it is strange, but I do find it kind of, it is a valley that you walk sometimes when I'm doing like commission painting. There is this point where I'm like, where, like, is it good? Is it looking good? Is it, I'm gonna go in the right direction? And then invariably I'll be like, I can't really paint anything anymore.
Yeah, am I
Like,
done?
Yeah, you know. And then the like little trick that I know that I kind of know if I've done a good job is if like I am done, but I keep wanting to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That's my like tell that I've done good. Because when
Sure.
I'm like looking over at him, he's like, he's over there, you know. Or I just like, keep looking back, or come in the middle of the night, pick him up, and look at him. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is
Yeah,
cool.
wow, that's such a thing. And I'm assuming you do that as well. Like sometimes
Yeah.
when I paint a mini and I finish and I go home, like I was at the office, when I come into the office and the first thing I have to do is like check my emails, I'll make a piss up at my paint desk and be like, okay, you know, Alexa, turn the lights on. It's like, sick.
Yeah.
And then I like go to the computer then.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's the little, that's like it's the non-thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just the feeling.
Sure, yeah.
You just go, that's cool.
Yeah, there's
And
no
without all the
boxes
noise
to check or anything. Yeah.
He's
And
like,
I-
I got a cool. that guy's a cool guy.
And I don't think that's an ego thing either. It's not
No,
like,
it totally
oh.
isn't. To me, it's recognizing almost like a why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very human. It's just like when you say people like little things, you know, it just does feel like that. Where sometimes I'll ask the question is like, why do I like to paint these little guys? Like it can be really weird sometimes.
Right.
You'll have like an out of body experience. I'm like, what am I doing? You know, like I'm painting this little guy's face, you know, and then sometimes I'm coming back to it. I'm like, yo, this little guy is sick, you know, like, look at him, he's swinging, you know, he's doing his sword stab or something, you know, and it's like, it's imaginative. It's, you know, it is evocative in this way, and it does appeal to something that you're just like, I don't really know why human beings, like aliens discover our race and stuff. They'd be like, why did the humans collect like these little things, like little humans?
Little humans.
Yeah, well, they love little humans.
Yeah,
the
little
humans.
fake humans, little dwarves and elves. Yeah,
They're not quite like them, but they're just
Yeah, they even make offshoots. They are different, like,
off-brand humans.
yeah, what's going on with that? The humans are strange.
they spend all their life not living their life, but instead
Yeah,
imagine
other people's
yeah,
lives.
they're crazy.
imagining these little lives.
That made me think of a metric that I saw that was related to the latest Call of Duty, and it was saying that something along the line, I'm paraphrasing, but it was saying that the amount of online hours that players have clocked in Call of Duty actually exceeds like recorded history or something. Like people have been playing Call of Duty longer than we've been recording history in terms of like a time length.
Yeah, and whatever they have recorded for a time, it's also longer than that because there's like tons of people playing like LAN events of Modern Warfare, and like they would know, there'd be no way to track that, and so
Yeah, I think it was just the latest one, like just the latest Black Ops.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it was just the latest, not like
y'all
all
need to
the
calm
Call of
down.
Duties.
Let me give you a hint. It's the same game every single release, guys.
We were talking about stuff, when we say like I was telling Scott, like, listening to the thing and just being like, I wish that I was more into 40K, the game of it. Because, like, I love the IP. I love reading the stuff. I like the satire, just the feel of it. It's a very interesting world to me, and I like visiting it a lot. But when it comes to, like, the playing of the game, that's where I'm not as interested in it. And it really does come down to, like, I just don't think the game's that fun.
Right?
There's a lot of fun games, and this game is cool. It's fun, but like there's some funner ones. So it's sort of what I like. But yeah, you
only get so many games on this
That's
earth.
kind of the thing. That's where it's like that's the thing we play, and it's tough. It's tough to get games in, and any game that you get in, even if it is a not as fun game, it's gonna be a good time. Hopefully at least.
Yeah.
That's the idea, right? To just to get miniatures on the table and throw dice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a spoiled, be playing so many other games, and you'd be like, man, you still playing Call of Duty? I mean, that's cool, but can you show you these other experiences?
Yeah, we'll get them there. Don't you worry, we'll get them there. All right, we want to really quick have another quick shout out to our TUP partners here with our round 2. First one is Monument Hobbies, which Malev is a big fan of Monument Hobbies. You use their paints.
I am, yeah. I'm like kind of a Monument stan, really.
Yeah. So why don't you say why you love them for the next 15-ish seconds?
So oh my gosh, why I like Monument Hobbies is really because the paint range just makes sense. I just as I get into the art. And getting into branded name paints is fun and interesting, but if you got to tell somebody, yo, you need Dorsak's Moon to paint that, and you're just like, Dorsak? Is that a guy or is that like a station? What is that word that you just said?
So that's a great paint range because the names are great.
Yes.
You got Wizard Butt, and you got Dorsak.
Yeah, wizard, but no, you just got a yellow ochre, and like I have developed a love for yellow ochre that, it's just like I don't know if I would have fallen in love for XV88.
Right.
Where it's like it's sort of. I think the XVA is a little bit more brown, but yeah, the Tausept ochre. That's what I'm seeing. The yellow ochre. It's a stick. So I really enjoy Monument Paint brands just because of the accessibility, the practicality of painting with them. I have been painting so much just by doing almost like a traditional style, like a lot of mixing. I'm not really using just like one color, and then there's a lot of
which you can do with a lot of their paints because they are single pigment.
Yes,
and they don't advertise it, but a lot of them are.
It works in that way, and I really like for Monument paints. I have not looked back when it comes to because I also like the medium, the way that they feel. I use a wet palette with them, which is tough because they will get a lot more watery. But the way that I use the wet palette, just vibing with them. I really love Monument paints.
Awesome.
So much of my models these days is pretty much 100%
Monument.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next on our list is Iwata. I have used an Iwata airbrush for like the last, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of my hobby painting career. Started with an HP CS, went into the HP BH, and that's where I've been living forever. I've compared them to many other brands, and I just happen to fall there, just as my preference for how they handle the air pressure, all of those things. So I've always loved Iwata. Check out their airbrushes. They are built for artists, trusted by masters.
Nice. Next up is Game Envy Kit, also a well-known around the convention circuit. What a beloved man with his sparkly coat he always wears.
His enthusiasm,
dude, is just he's passion for the hobby incarnate, I think.
For real.
Yeah, he's the demigod of hobby passion, I believe, is Kit. And they make amazing wet palettes. We love them. There's a Ninja wet palette. That's probably the one you're supposed to buy. I don't really know. I think it's like 12% better. That's just what the numbers say. But make sure you check out Game Envy today, tomorrow, and forever.
Lastly, we have Cobalt Keep. Awesome brand that makes all kinds of great accessories that work with their magnet bases. My entire Greyjoy army is all on their magnet bases. I went to the trouble of cutting all of those Song of Ice and Fire models off of their original bases and putting them on the Cobalt Keep bases. It makes them so much easier to transport. I also do it for my Soul by Gravelord army. And then along with those magnets are a ton of accessories that also work with them. Painting handles, single individual display cases for models, larger ones for units, all kinds of great magnet accessories that you can work with. All right, on to the main topic, which is Malev. Malev, we want to get a little bit of an idea about how you got into this hobby, where the roots came from, how you appreciate it back then. Where did it all start for you?
I have a pre-question before that question.
Okay.
Is Malev your God-given name?
No.
Or were you born like Cornelius?
No. Malev is my stage name.
Oh, okay. All right. I just because
when I make music, so to sort of answer both questions, I mean it's a twofold thing, because there is effectively the toy side, the playing side, and the sort of more kind of artistic, creative side. And I was only child, I have a much older brother, but I effectively grew up as an only child, just like playing by myself, a lot of alone time. I joke about that, the Fisher Price Castle. That Fisher Price Castle?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm like, that's Greathelm. That's the Inceptions of Greathelm.
Yeah. Point one.
I was just playing with the little black knights against the gold knights.
Yeah.
Fighting constantly on that little castle. A lot of GI Joes, a lot of action figure stuff when I was playing. A lot of Imagine play. A lot of not like feature play. It didn't like you press a button and shoot a thing. I was always like wanting to do everything and kind of have like complete control over my toys and the sort of things that they would do. And because I was by myself a lot, there was always structure to like my playtime. Like if it was doing a GI Joe fight, it just didn't start, like guys just didn't start fighting. There had to be an inciting event, a reason for this, and then the Cobra guys are gonna go over here, and then this is gonna happen, and then all these sort of stuff. And I'd even run into problems where I was like realizing, damn, the Joes can't die because they're named. Like the Cobra guys are just the faceless dudes. Like those dudes can get blasted. But I was like, so then it was like every time I play a game, I was like deciding which Joe was gonna get written off.
Shit, no. You were rewriting the G.I. Joe lore, dude.
Yeah, and of course it wasn't Snake Eyes. It was always the sailor. What's the sailor guy?
It's just like Rowboat Bill. I think
I can't remember his name right now off the top, but he's just a sailor. He was literally just a sailor. So I'm like, I can't. The sailor guy gotta go, because the commando dudes is obviously doing commando stuff, and then you got the sailor guy. So
Destro ain't gonna die to a sailor, man.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's great. Destro's the arms dealer stuff. We gotta stop Destro, dude. So I've been playing a lot of games, and like the sort of visual tie to game and action and stuff has always been a part of growing up with me, just playing with so many toys and things like that. And then when I got in at the last year of high school, because I would draw a lot. I used to draw a ton. That was kind of like my main artistic thing. But in high school, I started writing a lot more, and I started doing like creative writing and slam poetry. And that's when I stopped drawing effectively, and then started just kind of using like writing as a medium. And I remember something that my my creative writing teacher said at the time when he said something along the lines of, you'll be scared to write something. Like one day you'll be scared to write something. And that like simple sentence, I was like, how can you be scared to write something? Like writing's not scary, and I didn't really understand what he meant by that, and like all the crazy emotions and power behind writing. And it really just affected me where I was like, wow, this is actually like I've never appreciated the medium at all. And so I started writing fiction and started writing slam poetry. And when I would write a sad sort of slam poem that wasn't like braggadocious or bravado, it was more just in my feels, I would sign it as Melancholy MC. And if I was doing something that was more aggressive and kind of like being confident and angry about something, I would title it Malevolent MC. And so when I first released my first album in 2009 called Definitions, it was called Definitions because I didn't fit the definition of malevolent. And so that was like the whole vibe of the thing. And so Malevolent MC was where it was my original artist name, and I was that for a while. But it was just too difficult, and that notion of not fitting the definition was just like that. I was over that. I was like, because you don't judge a book by its cover, but it's like, yeah, that's what you do. You judge books by their cover. That's kind of the vibe. So
right, no point in trying to fight human tendency sometimes.
Yeah, so because I remember in my first review of the album, the guy said, there's not much malevolence to be found. And I was like, yeah, good. That's what I want, But so it's just the name sort of like stuck around, and I was becoming a little bit less interested in that connotation of the word, especially because, I don't fit the definition. So I just shortened it to Malev and then attached my deep love of ninjas to the back. And the reason why is because I like both what I call Hollywood ninjas and historical ninjas because they are very different.
Very different.
But
got the ninja appreciators over here.
Yeah, no, but it's the ninja people, the original ninja people coming from a very stratified society in Japan in the time were effectively people thinking outside of the box for the first time. They were breaking rules. The ninja was not a black clad sneaking assassin. It was the old lady gardener. You'd be, what? I wouldn't expect, but you dead now because the old lady gardener's in your room. And there's like these things. It's because they're outside the box. You wouldn't expect the old lady gardener to be the enemy.
Sure.
So it's they were kind of breaking the rules and adapting, and that's the real vibe is that's why I kind of carry the name to Shinobi, is to remind myself to like constantly be adapting, try to think outside the box, be kind of always moving, and be keenly aware of like, where I'm at with my creativity and my art and stuff like that, and where I want to go.
That's so amazingly deep and impactful. And then like my online moniker is just two things I like put together. I'm a miniature maniac.
No, but dude,
it stops there with the definition.
It's all important, and it's all right though, because why you do all that stuff. I think now.
I like that. The word Malev is a cool word though. Like I'm an appreciator of just cool words and like names for things. So that does work for me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad, and it is a cool. I do like it. I like, and just because I get to, because I can talk about that. Because some people will kind of read it and they'll still think it's like a name. So they'll be like, Shinobi, what's that? You know? I'm like, that's kind of hip hop for the, and then Shinobi is a ninja. Like, oh,
yeah. So when did the appreciation of action figures turn into an appreciation of miniatures?
So that was pretty much a combo of a couple of things. Because like I would go, did you guys ever have Hammond toys?
No.
Hammond toys. So did you ever have like KB toys?
Oh yeah, KB.
Oh, so like KB toys is like, the archetypical like toy store.
Okay, Toys R Us, is that
Toys R Us is another like that was the mecca. I used to go to Toys R Us all the time. Like pour one out for the Toys R Us. Right. But Hammond's toys like was almost like international toys and a lot of hobby stuff. Like you go to
model kits and stuff like that.
Like you go to Toys R Us and you see Lego, and then you go to Hammond and you see like Blego, and you're like,
Lego, yeah,
you're
mini
like,
bricks.
what is that?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's obviously Lego, but it's not. You know, and so you just have these different things. And in Hammond's, one of the things that they had was at this time, what I would guess what they were was the 3rd edition codexes with the Goblin Green base era.
Oh, so they had GW.
So they had codexes.
Wow. Okay.
And so I remember like looking at the codexes, you know, judging the book by its cover and being like, what is that? You know, and grabbing and looking at it and being so into toys and stuff. I remember looking at the images of the game, like the green, and I said, this has to be like the peak. Like,
yeah.
Like now I'm not only playing with toys, I'm like like it's a system to simulate the things that are happening. And I was like looking at the scenes, and I just remember being like, this has to be the funnest way to play toys. There can't be any other way. Like this has to be the sickest. It's got terrain, because if I was playing with GI Joes and stuff, they were fighting over the
stack of
cans
books
and stuff. Yeah,
cushions, baby.
Yeah, it wasn't. I would pretending they were mountains, but now I'm like looking at the mountains and the little bunkers and the trees and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. So it kind of stuck, that idea, that thing stuck in my head, but I didn't really know what it was. And then a couple years down the line, 2 things that are like important happen, and one of them is Dawn of War, the original RTS comes out, and I recognize the imagery, the stuff. I go, that's the thing. That's the thing with the little guys that I was looking at. Like I recognized that it's the same IP in a way. And I was like, oh, that's the thing. Okay, cool. And I was like getting interested in wanting to play it. And then my buddy, who had just moved from New York, his dad had like bought him a set for like his birthday or something. He was walking by a hobby store and they were selling the thing at like half off or whatever. So he sent him the 3rd edition Dark Eldar and Black Templar box set.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember
he
that.
came over to my house with that and was kind of like, I don't really know what to do with this. And I was like, I know exactly what that is. Like, dude, that's the thing, And so like he brought it over and I was like, can I like,
dude, best day ever.
Have this? Like,
a friend just shows up with a starter set of
dude,
40K.
He didn't even like, cause he was like, it was cool, but my dad, I don't know what this is, but he definitely knew that like I would probably like think it's cool. And it's just the timing of it where I was just like, oh, I know exactly, like that's the thing. And so that was like quite literally the getting into the hobby, and combined with Dawn of War, did download it because I love playing games and stuff, digital video games as well. Dawn of War, that like I captured it for chaos, like all of the sounds in that game, the sound design of the game was so wonderful. And then like with that, having that be like the window into the world, as opposed to like maybe like a old head who never really had all the media to really like imagine and see how it kind of was to finally like have the sounds and the things like that. Really was so easy to get into. And like I just fell in love with that.
Did you ever watch Zorpazorp's YouTube series where he is recreating Dawn of War with miniatures, and he has like Fog of War and stuff and bases in it? If you haven't seen that, it's really cool. It's like a miniature wargaming scenario, but inspired by the genre of RTS games and stuff. I love how he does Fog of War. So it's like both players can make actions in the beginning of the game, but they don't see each other. But then like when their units come within whatever, it's like 20 inches of each other, then they start to see like how big the armies are, and like there are bases you build things out of and stuff, and you recruit units, and it's like a really cool idea for a miniature wargaming scenario.
Taking that, kind of taking the exact skeleton of that RTS design, spending requisition to pop out units and stuff, and go chapter hold points and things. I can't imagine what it must be like to try and put together one of those productions. Holy,
he's a crazy lad.
Wow.
And so that was the in to the 40K hobby, was kind of like once that. And I think at that age I might have been maybe like 13 or 14 or 12 and right in there. And so I had stopped kind of overtly playing with GI Joes specifically at that point.
You were an adult now.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I still had a couple. You still got to keep a couple of dollies next by for a couple of fights, a couple of little fight scenes every once in a while. But it was as I was I was getting much more into like video games and on the computer a lot more. So like I was kind of just like shifting away from analog games.
Would you say that in the beginning, your appreciation for miniature wargaming kind of came from this ability to be able to like create a really cool, simple narrative story and then kind of play it out and see the outcome kind of unfold in front of you, like with the system of rules helping you kind of dictate the choices and stuff?
I think that it was because there is one of the things that I think about that I would play a lot was it was effectively like it was from the movie Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I have not seen.
You haven't seen that one? Yeah, that's a great one for many reasons. But that has what is called the Kumite, which is kind of like this Street Fighter tournament kind of thing, fight to the death kind of one later. People can die, and so there's this. This karate tournament type thing. And so I've got my 10 or so 12-inch G.I. Joes, and all of them have varying degree of loose joints and stuff. Like the guys with the loosest joints, they're getting taken out first. They're effectively the stuntmen. They do the stunts because they got the best like ragdoll ability.
Articulation. Yeah.
So it was like I'd have all of this roster of G.I. Joes, and then I would, there was a board game called Weapons and Warriors.
Yeah.
Catapults and cannons or something like that. I think it was called Weapons and Warriors.
And Battle Masters is another one.
Yeah, but it was essentially like this thing where you would you set up these two castles across from each other, and you'd like shoot these little balls and try and like break your castle
fun.
down. It was so sick.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I played as a kid that was like so tabletop-y, but I was just like on the floor or whatever.
Yeah, you were prepping for it.
Yeah, it really was. And then that came with a great box, big, nice Weapons and Warriors box. And that box was just like the perfect size for a 12-inch G.I. Joe fight ring. Right. Because it was a box, it had the great like wrestling rink slam sounds and stuff, and it had that feel. And so what I was doing was organizing these Kumite events where I'd randomly pick 2 G.I. Joe guys and then flip a coin and be like, who won? And then after I figured out who won, then I would play it. I would play it out.
Yeah,
and then put the winner to the side. And then so even though I was controlling it, I was still trying to find this way to like determine which one of these random G.I. Joes is going to be like the champion, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious for you, John, what was the appreciation for the hobby earlier on in your career? Like, where did you find that appreciation?
Well, this is wild that Malev is saying this because I have the exact same origin story of playing toys. Like, my mom has all these Polaroid pictures and stuff of me as a kid where it was like, all my He-Man or all my G.I. Joes or all my Ninja Turtles are all set up. And then they were like, the scene is about to happen, all that kind of stuff. And I think there's something weird in there of the playing with small things, but it's battle. Yeah. And you are coming up with your own rules on the fly.
Yeah.
And I think that's my tie with it. So like when I got into finding Warhammer models way, way later than life, it was like, I immediately felt like I was back home. I was like, I have this connection to these.
It feels
there's
almost
rules.
An evolution.
Yes. You're like, everything has led to this moment. Like, there's actual rules instead of me making shit up. And you talked about you like to draw when you were a kid. I have a weird story that was connecting this gamification and art and action figures. I came up with this system where I would draw these little intricate maps. So like a side-scrolling video game. Okay. And it would be these battles, and it would be in an arena, or it would be in a broken down building, or be in a
fighter
castle.
battles, stick figure battles,
kind of. Okay. But and it was like a maze, right? And so you'd have your hero. I'd draw your hero on the front, but I had a number system of like there would be a bad guy, or there'd be a trap, or there'd be whatever, and you'd have to go.
You like a solo journaling game?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
So you'd have to go and you'd have to find the +2 sword because that would mean your power number would then be 4. And you can't get by that guy until your power number is greater than 3. So it was like math plus drawing out this like actual battle thing. And it was a maze.
Puzzle.
It was a puzzle.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got into that so much from like the 4th and 5th grade. I did those all day, every day. And then, because I was an art kid, right? Everyone had the best artist kid in the class.
Yeah.
I was the art kid.
I got the Van Gogh Award.
Yeah. So then I'd have these, they're all on like regular paper, and then they would get like passed around the room in class. So the kids and the other kids would be like trying to figure it out, and they find it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this one's the fucking Snake Temple is your best one. Do the Snake Temple. Wow. Do a sequel to Snake Temple." Or whatever.
That is sick.
So I'm like, that's a gamification of stuff that I didn't even think. I was like, when I was 12, that when I got into Warhammer 20 years later, that I was just like, oh, what the hell, man?
That's super interesting, man. Because I I didn't do something like that, but similarly, I was always drawing. And I remember one of my like magnum opus art pieces in class was I used to go crazy with the stick figure battles.
Oh yeah.
Just a regular 8x11 sheet, you draw a landscape and then you just draw like 100 battles. Dudes, stick figure dudes doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so did that. And then, but what I did this time was like I gave every stick figure was one of the people in class. And they were all doing cool stuff.
Nice.
So I'd be like, yeah, Jessica, see you jumping sideways, shooting them like this, then you taking out like far. And so like after I was showing everybody was so psyched. It was, oh crap, oh, this is so cool. And the teacher was like, this is great. What a great like little like community project and stuff like that. And then they showed the principal, and the principal was like, are these kids killing people?
Are those
and everybody was like, oh yeah, well, pretty much. But hey, you look at that's the idea of it, you know?
like stick guns?
They're little stick guys. And it's like, but this stick is exploding apart. Someone threw a grenade at him.
People aren't real. People.
Yeah, dude. I was like, it's like the violence is acceptable because they're just lines. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know? And so that element of drawing and being like tied to the class, because I also, one of the things I had difficulty with, and this sort of ties to miniature painting for me, is one of the challenges was, what do I want to draw?
Right.
What?
Right.
And so I had to create frameworks for like why I wanted to draw. And initially that was just, I'm going to do a comic. I draw a comic about these 4 ninja dudes and they're doing the thing. And so that way, when I sit down to draw, what I need to draw is the next frame.
You're right.
And like in miniatures, painting miniatures is very similar for me, because it's like, what do I want to paint? Why? And it's like, well, I want to play this game, or I want to put together this thing. Like,
it's a very motivating
thing. I need that, like that framework to like do it under. And so, yeah, I was just drawing comics, you know, and being like, yo, check it out. People were reading it and wanting to see what was happening next and all this sort of stuff. And just, yeah, like giving someone like this 12-page Vector Man comic that I made, and then sitting throughout class being like, oh man, I hope they're going to give it back.
I know, dude.
Oh
Like,
no.
that was my art.
I feel that. I used to write a comic called Super Nick, which is about my friend whose name was Nick. And it was one of those weird things where it's like, it felt like it was a collaborative art project, but I just did all of it. Like I did all the art. I wrote all the lines, and I was like, look at what we did, Nick. And he's like, sick, dude. I love being a superhero.
Yeah, right? His contribution.
You know, he contributed his likeness. His 10-year-old fucking likeness.
Fuck Nick, man.
Super Nick.
Yeah, it's funny you guys mentioned like things you're doing for like your class. I didn't ever do anything like you said, but what I did do is I polled my class to see how many of them had cable internet, as you know, compared to DSL, compared to dial-up.
Really?
Because I wanted to show my parents that we were living in the fucking Stone Age.
Really? Oh,
I was like, look, Mom, 80% of my class has cable internet.
Yeah.
We need cable internet. You know,
I'm still hearing the noises every time I turn this joint on.
Whenever Katie picks up the goddamn phone and I'm playing a goddamn 1v1 match in Warcraft 3, I lose.
Bro, but you know what was absolutely mind-boggling about that?
What?
Is actually being able to play like Counter-Strike Source on dial-up, and it was
56K.
fine. And it was fine.
Yeah.
It didn't actually, it worked. Like,
That's the weird thing about modern video games.
Yeah, bro.
Everything gets bigger and better in terms of our tech, but the experience stays very largely the same.
Dude,
and it's like, what? Is this the future? Like, what's happening?
or in some ways it'd be getting worse, you know? You're just like, we're reverting, dude, taking out features or doing certain things like quality of life stuff, you know? Like, can we play this game together? No. It's like, why not? It's like, oh, when we did the testing for the game, we found out that less than 1% of users use the co-op couch feature, so we decided to remove it. And you're like, that's dumb. I guess, that makes sense in a way, but 1% of the world's a lot of people. You know,
Yeah, so unsurprisingly for myself as well, I also play with action figures. G.I. Joe is a huge staple in my house, but one thing that I had a lot of and played a lot of like imaginary battles with was Star Wars figures.
Yeah, for sure,
so
dude. Because
huge fan of that.
Talking about like Star Wars figures with the prequels, I think there's an interesting topic there, because when people talk about the prequels in movies, especially in relation to like the modern Disney trilogy and stuff, because when people are like, oh, they make the prequels better or whatever like that, like they make prequels, they may appreciate the prequels more.
Yeah,
and there's like this element
we're younger in that time period.
Yeah, there's this element that the prequels, like as movies in the Star Wars thing, we're kind of like, And it's like, sure, but did you play with the toys? Because them sets was crazy. And the movie might have not been super great, but for a movie designed to create a toy line, battle droids, like that stuff is really high level stuff, because the movie might have not been great, but they was making merchandise.
Oh yeah, that's
crazy sales, and
absolutely.
like experiencing the IP from that way. Like if you just saw the movies, you might be like, man, these are much worse or something. But I was playing with the toys. I was playing Jedi Power Battles on PlayStation. I was doing all this other stuff, and it's like growing up in this kind of media sphere where back maybe like in the 80s and the 70s and stuff, what you had was maybe movies, television,
wooden
radio.
blocks.
Yeah, like it didn't have these things, but now we're having these multimedia different things where you can watch the movie, you can read the 5 books, you can play the different games.
I know, it's
and
amazing.
And so like growing up in that, having like this mega brain for like canon that isn't canon, that is canon, that when it's working, is it in the timeline? It's like, it doesn't matter, just like interacting with the nebulousness of an IP and the characters within it. And like, it made me be like, man, Star Wars is cool, because I understood it as a medium for experience, as just instead of just being a movie,
Right.
You can read about it, you can do this, you can do, and then it's like, in the same way with like 40K and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very similar.
It's so massive. Like you can really make 40K your own, and it's the same with Star Wars, and the same with other large IPs that you can choose to enjoy and experience those worlds and those characters in whatever way you want. And most people are going to experience them through the movies because that's the most ubiquitous. But like if you want to go deeper and find other things about it that you like, it's available to you, which I think is really cool actually, about a lot of big IPs. So for me, the appreciation, like you guys started with action figures and stuff like that. And then it kind of moved into this world of like, I think I kind of accidentally got into miniature painting in a big way because it just happened to appear in my life at an opportune time. I'm the kind of person who likes to take something and I don't want to say like develop mastery of it. I'm not a master of anything, but I like to be good at what I'm doing. I like to feel like I know what I'm doing and feel like I can speak from experience and stuff like that. Like I'm a tryhard when it comes to games. I like to win. I like to understand the mechanisms in the game and use them the best. I have that kind of like mindset about like almost everything I do in life. And so like when I was a high schooler and got into miniature painting and stuff like that, it kind of just stuck around. I'm painting these minis. I see online that people are doing it really well, like they're winning competitions. Oh, there's competitive painting. Golden Demon is a thing. There's a standard for quality.
Were you looking at White Dwarf and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah.
What was your first minis that you were painting?
The Rohan Riders from the Two Tower Starter set.
Gotcha. So you got the Middle Earth strategy battle game. Nice.
Yeah. That was early on. I was trying to figure out like what's the right way to do this. Okay, reading on the can, how to use primer best, like talking to the store employees. Like, okay, I see in the White Dwarf that the terrain on their bases kind of looks like one chunk of earth, but when I put rocks on my base, they look like a bunch of individual rocks. Like, what do you do to kind of cinch it all together? Like, okay, use PVA glue and like all these things. So I was kind of collecting all its knowledge and like all this experience and trying to get better and better and better at it. But if like I had encountered some other artistic thing at that time in my life, maybe I wouldn't be a miniature painter, because like it really is just so, I just love to like go deep on something and really understand it at a more nuanced level. Like when it comes to video making, I also am very into like all the different avenues that you can express your creativity with video and like in how many things you can do. And so I get super deep into movie making and stuff like that. And so that came at the right time. I had the right background to be interested in playing games with small toys, and I kind of just took it and ran with it. And like now here I am.
Yeah, now those sets are truly magical. Though I think the Middle Earth strategy battle game stuff was so cool and such an interesting thing from GW because of its like faithfulness in a way. That is like that's like the lover's game from GW. Is very faithful.
Yeah, they didn't like go crazy over the top with it like that. It was very kind of like a screen accurate portrayal of what was going on in those movies.
Yeah, and it helped sort of solidify that great aesthetic that those movies kind of went with.
Yeah. So you went from there's your kind of connection to the hobby, did you jump in and just start painting a ton? And how did that transition to like whether it's working with Sean, whether it's getting into the game design side of thing, had that idea around rules and how a game is played always been top of mind for you, or did it kind of ebb and flow?
Yeah, it totally was. We were chatting about it last night. The sort of like the kind of like the shifting needle, so to speak, about what is really exciting you in the space. And I was kind of talking about how I was hanging out with some friends at Adepticon, and they were excitedly chatting to a point where I was like, man, what are they so excited about? And I looked over and I saw that they were like talking about the Cathay models. And I immediately had that feeling of like, I can't have that level. Like, whoa, that's interesting that y'all's are, I'm visibly seeing this much excitement for just looking at the picture of a model. I was happy that people were having that, but I also noticed in that moment that like, that's not the reaction that I have to like model releases and stuff, And so in thinking about the shift in where it's happened, because I started out, like I was mentioning with my friend, and he brought over the set and I had to paint the stuff. Because I was more artistically inclined, it was interesting because miniature painting is like almost this really, really low barrier of entry to doing something that is artistic. And it's like painting is, people can go to Michael's and you can get paints and stuff and paint on canvases and things like that. But going back to that, the kind of like why I do it and like why do I want to paint a miniature? Oh, because I want to play a game. I don't really have that for the canvas. Like, why do I want to paint this canvas? Because I want to paint the canvas,
Right.
So I feel like that element is almost why people don't just get into painting on canvas as they might easily get into painting miniatures, because of in effect that 3D coloring book aspect of it kind of gives you enough foundation for you to just do the fun kind of the creative part, instead of like like having to gesso your board so the paint lays correctly, like something really boring prep like that. Like we do the boring prep with our minis and stuff like that, but from like an accessibility standpoint, painting miniatures is a really interesting way to do something that you're painting. I would guess that a lot of people that paint miniatures would probably describe themselves as like not artists, not someone who traditionally does artistic things.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it gives you such a fun way to do that. And before I knew it, I was just painting them the stuff because I was by myself, and I wanted to paint the models. You had to paint them to play, or that's how I felt. And so just kind of like naturally doing it. And I remember I have this memory of painting the old metal typhus, and it was like Christmas morning. And in like back in the day when being so excited for Christmas, it was like hard to go to sleep, And then in this night though, I had just had so much fun painting typhus that I like literally looked up and it was like 7 a.m. I was like, I'm done. Wow, he's cool. And then it was Christmas morning, and I was like, oh, whoa. And I kind of, that moment I remember as like kind of really being an interesting miniature painting moment where I'm like, I really like
I can get lost in this.
Yeah, this was a really interesting kind of thing to do. And yeah, that typhus, it looked like really cool. I'd still put him on the table, today. I don't have him anymore, but he'd, stand the test of time with the paint, because just the amount of the love that you're trying to put into them and stuff. And so the painting kind of came just from wanting to play the game and be like naturally into it. And then as time goes on, I think a big thing was that I was always into it, like as a product, as a thing, as a game, but I really didn't play that many games. I only had like one buddy who had like half a Tau army, and at that point I had like half a Marine army, like painted and assembled. And so we would throw together these, as I'm imagining them, they had to be like almost 4th edition games, but I don't have a memory of ever playing like start to finish. It was always like broken up. It was like, the experience was never ideal, for lack of a better term. And so once sort of shifting into the games and things, there was a time where X-Wing came out. And at that point I had like dipped away from painting and collecting and stuff, because it was just too difficult in effect. I didn't have the people, or I didn't want to collect the army, but I was still like looking at white dwarfs and stuff and trying to I was going to the GW website and like essentially keeping up with what they're doing, but I just like wasn't painting it or I wasn't buying. But then when X-Wing came out, the thing about X-Wing that was really impactful was that the game had all of the same sort of loop. You collected a thing. You didn't have to paint it, but you collected a thing. And then once I realized, like in the design space, because, you know, we have characters and stuff in 40K, and he'll have like his own data sheet and he'll do stuff. But he's also his own model. But the genius of the X-Wing is that the X-Wing is just the X-Wing, and then the pilot is what you change. And then so I could put Wedge Antilles in the thing, or I could put Luke in the thing, and then I realized that dynamicness of the model being the same, but the game changing behind it was like, I was like, this, no wonder these joints are flying off the shelf, because I'm like, this is $15 for this guy, and the amount of game that I'm getting from this thing is blowing any of the stuff that I was experiencing from like the codexes and all this other stuff, and like,
and they're pre-painted too, so a lot of people who feel like they couldn't enter into the hobby because of the artistic aspect can now just totally jump over that hurdle.
Yeah, and and when you have the game and all the little flight stands in there, it looks like a little dogfight battle,
right?
You know, on the little mats and stuff, and that game was just really solid. And I think in that year, 2015 was the famous year that Fantasy Flight actually outsold.
The famous year.
Yeah. The one time.
The one time
it happened. The one time the GW went, huh?
Yeah.
You know, oh, we got to do something. You know, at which 8th edition was coming around the corner, I think around that time. But that experience got me right back into it. And then on top of that, I was getting into board games because I was really wanting to get into tabletop games, but I was just not wanting to go through the entire, like, we both need big armies thing. And then plus I was playing with a more diverse group of people and just realizing, oh, we all kind of have armies, you know, we don't even, like, not even one of us has like a full army. So I was trying to get into board games. I wanted to get into Descent.
Yes.
And I went to go pick it up, and the guy actually was like, we don't have Descent, but what we do have is Imperial Assault, which is like the revised version. And it does something in the design that is so minimal, but the change is incredibly massive in that game, and it just being 2.0. But in it had all of these like little figures, you know, Han Solo and stormtroopers and stuff. And so I was like, oh, I can paint again. I still got all my paints. They're all there. It's been forever. I'm gonna try and bust it out again. And so started painting those figures. And while I was painting Han, I was like, man, this is cool painting like a character you know.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time I was just painting Space Guy, the Space Marine, and I didn't really know him, but I know Han Solo, you know, and like trying to get his pants to be the right blue and be like, he's got his black jacket and like that kind of stuff, and moving into those. And that is when I started getting back into painting. And that was kind of right around Instagram being popular for like sharing your photos of painted miniatures and stuff. I think this was maybe like 2014 or 2015. And doing that was when I started first getting like my first commissions. And I was telling you about the Amex job where I was reading Watchmen, and I didn't have the credentials for like 5 months.
Yeah.
And so like I was just sitting there, going into Amex, just sitting at a desk and being, you know, if someone walked by, I'd be like, but the computer's not even on. So it was that feeling of like, I have to like, do you want me to sort mail or something? Like, what, can I do anything? Like, I have to justify my existence in this space. So like on the side of the work side, things were like degrading, where I was just like, and then my mom was like the longest tenured employee at American Express in their history. Like, she's worked there for so long. Like,
wow.
And I remember having
and then here's you, no credentials.
Nope, I'm there, and I remember it, but I'm on the same floor as her, working on this other team, and this all this stuff. And I remember thinking, my mom's worked here longer than I've been alive. And then I was just like, I gotta go. Gotta go. Like, can't be here, you know, because that whole all the team that I was working with, all like tenured, near retirement, and like the situation's falling apart. I'm like, oh, you guys want to do something about this? And they'd be like, I don't know, man, next year I'm leaving. So and I'm like, I'm not leaving next year. Like, I'm not gonna be here when y'all jumping ship, you know, while this company falls to the ground. So I was just like, I'm gonna try something else. And then I was like, I'm gonna sit in the paint. I'm gonna try doing painting.
Okay.
And move into commission painting and,
Okay.
and do that. And I remember when I was leaving, my boss was like, he's like, so you did do painting, huh? Cool, yeah. And I like just sort of described or he said, house painting? And I said, no. And he was like, I don't know what this kid's doing then. What are you painting?
I can't imagine anything
Yeah, he
else.
was like, what job? And I was like, no, it's not house painting. And so I like painted up my first Imperial Assault set all day and like sold that and started doing X-Wing repaints. Like I was doing I was painting the Poe Dameron's black ship before they officially did.
Oh, I did the same thing for a YouTube video, actually.
Yeah,
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, because they only released in the starter set, they just had the new like bluish X-Wing and the new First Order ties. And obviously with Poe Dameron's sweet scenes in The Force Awakens,
black
people
and
were
orange,
like, yo, we need this joint. My boy went crazy on the screen right there. And so, yeah, I was painting that. And that was the start of the commission stuff, working through Fantasy Flight. And I was going to their, what's it called? The forum, FFG forums and stuff, posting on there. They was popping. And that's actually where Sarastro. So I witnessed Sarastro's like
his
rise,
his
first, his literal, because he was posting the thing, and I was like, "Yo, this guy's good." And then he did his first video, and I was like, "This dude doing the score, he doing the thing, the thing." And so like I watched Sarastro from like in the dusty corners of the FFG forum, go from painting stuff for Fantasy Flight, and he's kind of still doing his thing. And so there, I was doing that, and I really liked the painting that stuff, but at the same time in the back, because of like the independent musician in me and the indie artist, it's like, this is cool, but it's Star Wars though. Like it's still kind of like the big thing, know? And so looking around, and I was being interested in, and it wasn't miniatures. It was like close, but but X-Wing isn't really a miniatures game. It is more, well, it sort of is. But anyway, I was wanting to get more into like the more traditional, kind of get back into it. And I was looking at 40K and stuff, and it was interesting, but the same problems kind of persisted. And that was when I saw my first Kickstarter that I backed was the Relic Blade adventure battle game. And looking through that, I was like, this is kind of like everything. Like this is got the miniatures. It's like, this is like the whole vibe. And I was like, but it's just done by this one guy. I'm like, this dude's wild with this stuff. And so I just seeing that someone could do that, like that was such a crazy eye opener for me, especially at that time as an indie artist, where I was like, what can you do really? And then just seeing Sean just be like, I'm doing everything. I'm just going to do it. I'm gonna make my game. And I was like, wow, this is really, really cool.
I'm just pouring metal in my garage.
Yo, he's going crazy with it, And so after that, back to Kickstarter, got it for a while, and then I think about a year went by, and I remember I had this idea where I was like, I see Sean's doing this thing, it's really cool, but at the beginning of the profile, it was very profile, no one's following, like people sleeping, and there was people that were following me because of the X-Wing paints and all this stuff, and so the page was growing a little bit, and so I was like, I want to be Sean's the one. He's guy one posting Relic Blade on the internet. I want to be guy two. I am the second guy who is posting stuff about Relic Blade, and I want it to look so cool that we get guy three. That I was like, what is that? And then in that way, I was effectively just like trying to get Sean's attention by like painting his stuff and like posting it, being like, Relic Blade's sick, like I painted it, and I was just like wanting him to comment and be like, that looks good, like, oh shit, you saw it, you saw my post, and I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, like, I don't know if he likes me, because like he's not really responding. I'd like send him the thing, hey man, I painted so cool, and he'd be like, that's awesome. I'd be like, hit me with that's awesome.
Yeah, single tear rolls down.
Yeah, I'm just like, shit, I don't know if he really likes me, And then after it was LVO 2018, and I had been doing that. I had been, trying to paint, and then at that time he was doing his second Kickstarter, and I just was like, hey man, I'm like painting, trying to do commission stuff. I really like what you're doing. I kind of want to be like painting stuff and showing people these new games and things. And so can I paint some of your stuff? And so that's when he let me paint the Lone Guard and the dead. I can't remember their name is skipping off my head right now.
Skull Boys.
The Bone Stalkers, the undead faction of Relic Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Painted both of those, and then the delivery was going down to LVO, and because he was going to do a little booth at LVO, and he didn't kind of really know where I was, but I remember watching I think it was Ash was doing like a live stream, Guerrilla Miniatures Games, and I was like, hey, what do you think about me going down to help Sean booth? And he's like, that'd be really helpful. He's like, can you do it? Do you think you could do it? And I'm like, no, I think I can do it. He's like, yeah, if you can make yourself available.
Why are you asking Ash this?
Mostly because he had a relationship with Sean in a way. And so I was sort of like, and from his position, I was kind of sussing like, does this just feel like would this be useful to you? Like, do you think, would you do something like this as kind of like someone who's in this space kind of, and so he was like, yeah, if you could do that, I think that'd be really cool. And so I reached out to Sean and was asking him, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so, because Vegas is only like 6-hour drive for me. So I drove down there with the minis in tow, and then met Sean for the first time. And it was really funny because, you know, you had all that stuff where we had been talking. I couldn't really gauge, didn't really know him. And then after, you know, walking into the big room where we were setting up in, effectively the first time I'm meeting this person, what we're going to do is set up a booth, you know, and like,
team building exercise on day one.
Yeah, it really was. And that was like, it was immediately that we were so bonded, you know? I was like, oh shit, this is like my brother from another mother, very vibe like that, you know. Very rarely felt like I found my people in such a way that it really changed the way that I like follow friendship in a way where, you know, where it's kind of like this, because again, I've never really had peers, never really, you know, I've always been kind of doing stuff by myself. So having someone like Sean to be able to like bounce stuff off of and like vicariously learn through him and see his experiences. And if he gets to make a mistake, you know, I can be like, oh, damn, that does suck, bro. You know, I'm gonna write that one down, you know, like try not to, all these different things that could have come from our relationship. But yeah, like it was pretty much like an instant connection. We vibing, connecting from there, and then ever since then, yeah, I was helping Sean with Relic Blade, still am, and gosh, it's been 10 years now.
Wow, holy cow.
Relic Blade is 10 years old.
Still doing commission painting?
Yep, I'm still doing commission painting.
Mostly for Sean or for other companies as well?
For other companies as well. Right now, the biggest commission I've been doing that you guys might have been seeing is with Beer Games for 1490 Doom. I've painted up all of the 1490 Doom stuff for them. That's all the stuff that's in like the books and the castles and all those things. And those are really great stuff.
Is that something that you want to do long term, or is that something that you're hoping to maybe like get away from in the future?
I would like to perhaps slow it down. I don't want to make it be, because it's the laborist labor, you know. It's the one that takes the toughest. So I do want to be, like for example, you know, I stopped taking like private commissions from like individual people as opposed to like small companies, just because of what the difference in kind of like the expectations and kind of what it is to kind of do commissions for an individual versus we need like a project. I mean, this is where we got the range of miniatures, you know, there's 10 of them. We need them all to look, because that's what I find interesting is kind of essentially the art direction. Any game that I paint for, like I don't paint Relic Blade the same way that I paint 1490 Doom. Like they have to look appropriate for the game. So the styles are very different. They look very different. And that's a fun thing that is what I like of that creative part. So I pretty much with commissioning, what I'm interested in doing is building a game. So if like, you know, we got a new game and it looks like this and this is the vibe, then when it comes to painting, that's what's exciting for me, is kind of building that aesthetic, like what it looks like and what you might expect, or my interpretation of the world in doing that. But it is slowly shifting to being about more about game design and kind of like the why, or the why do the miniatures even exist is kind of the thing.
Okay.
And so, because while we have stuff like busts, right? Like then there's no point, you know.
Right.
What's the point is the painting a bust or something like that.
Right.
Where for me, because I'm so interested in the game aspect side of it, the creating the game, like when we were sort of talking about the volleyball, asking these questions about the background and the setting and sort of building what this world looks like, you know, because effectively it's just like world building, you know, thinking about art and art direction and where that sort of stuff is going. So in some way it's still connected, you know, as I craft Greathelm as a writer. And I do have my painted pictures in the miniatures and stuff, and I really wanted it to, like the Middle Earth strategy battle game, I wanted Greathelm's example pictures to be emulated of those exactly, look just like them and stuff. And there's that element to it, but when it comes to like miniature design, because that game's for a miniature agnostic game, it's not as important, but at the same time, it allows me to think, all right, like what do these knights look like? These knights exist on the market. These knights exist on the market. These knights exist. And it's like, what about the miniatures or the product that I might be able to create that would make people want those knights as opposed to these awesome knights, which are awesome, you know? And what can we do? How can they tie to the game? What's sort of, you know, the synergy that the thing that I make that won't be present in these other things, you know, like the little details that, you know, like for example, in Relic Blade, there's a lot of stuff that is like inner world lore details, that like a little pin or something, or a little brooch, you know, that's tied to a card, and it might look like a little insignificant detail, but then you're like, oh shit, that's like that's
an item in the game,
little item thing, yeah. And I remember when painting so much Warhammer, switching over to Infinity for the first time, I had like shape information meltdown. I was like, what is this thing? What texture is it? Is it cloth? Is it hard? Is it like a leather? I couldn't like determine these things, where I was just used to seeing big leather pouch on the guy and stuff. And now everything's like this, maybe a ceramic, maybe plastic material, maybe didn't know what to do. And kind of like that vibe of having all this important detail on the miniatures that informs the universe. And it's all that intentional design, which I find is where a lot of my interest is going now, is the design, like the creative part, like why making something like this is interesting, compelling, what makes a good miniature to buy, to paint, to collect, you know, because I'm trying to think about all that stuff. Yeah, because painting miniatures, depending on the style, can be a lot of fun, or it can be not a lot of fun. It can
be a slog.
Yeah.
Okay. So from creating stories with action figures in your basement and doing that with miniatures to something more like miniature entrepreneurialism, you know, like what makes a person want to buy a product, not just from the model's sake, but also from like the way it's packaged, to the way the game is played, to the way how accessible the game is, like all of those thoughts and considerations. So that's kind of like where your appreciation of the hobby lives right now.
It's shifting there, because it's really just like wanting to create, just like we talk about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff. I would love to make something that people really enjoy, you know, like Sean with Relic Blade, you know, like a world, an IP, a thing, stuff, ultimately a foundation, you know, that you can do lots of interesting things with, you know, and explore.
Okay, well, maybe that foundation is Greathelm. Again, you guys can check that out down in the show notes below, and also anywhere where you can find Malev on the internet. If you want to follow his Instagram and see what he's doing and what he's up to, you can find that all in the show notes below. Welcome to the end of the episode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us about, if you're a patron member, 2 hours and 50 minutes of your time. This is a longer episode. We appreciate you lending us your ears for that amount of time. Hope you had a good time. Again, if you want to find Malev, he's down in the description below. All kinds of links to Greathelm and his stuff on Instagram as well. If you like the podcast and you want to support it, there are a couple ways to do that. You can do that through Patreon, where you get access to an extended episode, about 20 to 30 minutes of extra content. We go over things like new things we tried out in the hobby and our experiences learning those new things, and also other painters that we appreciate and cool things they've painted in the past and why we like those things. We also have a Teespring store down there as well, where you can buy cool TUP merch, hoodies, sweatpants, cups, all kinds of cool stuff, and 3 unique TUP logos that go on all of those cool things.
Damn, that was good, Scott.
Thank you.
It's almost like you do that every single episode. You just
do.
like can rattle it off.
6 seasons in a movie.
Dude, I think that it's like you, I see your eyes like roll back around.
Yeah.
And like you're,
No, yeah.
Just like in Romulus when
Yeah.
he got the new AI. He's like,
like,
time
yeah,
to do the ads
dominating
reads,
it.
you know.
just looked like them full synth mode.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we got you that update on your,
I need a new module.
right. Yeah. Now you can get into all the doors in every restaurant in town.
Imagine if you could just buy little hard discs like that.
Yeah, dude, and learn kung fu.
Yeah, man. Shit,
Yeah.
I want to fly a helicopter. Got this little disc right here. Don't lose it.
Yeah.
We've made it really
Hopefully
small.
there's no extra Wayland Yutani code on there.
Yeah,
That's going to turn you into a mind
I wanna
slave.
fly to a specific place.
Yeah.
It only takes me where we want you to go. All right. Well, thank you, Goody Peepees, for joining us for this extra long, extra fun episode with Malev Shinobi himself. We'll be back before you know that. Until then, catch you on the
Flippity flop.